only with a second down.
Nice. Yeah, that quarter's going pretty fast. There's only 5.5 minutes left. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think there's more commercials than actual game, though. You know what?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I want to bring our first guest down of the night, and let's bring her on. Hello, Nurse Kim. How are you?
Hello. How are you guys?
Hey. Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good
Just
deal.
watching your thing, and I was like, well, I better eat something real quick. So I ate me some hamburger, and now I'm ready. So
good deal. Well, welcome to the low carb football party.
Thank you. How do you guys watch the game and do this at the same time?
Well, we just kind of, you see us look like this, just like he's looking that way and I'm looking that way, and we're just kind of seeing what the score of the game is or what's going on. But usually we just kind of give updates as the game's going on.
Yeah.
And so forth. But it's a little bit different, but we enjoy it. It's been kind of fun. So are you a football fan at all?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm not into sports really at all. I'm just not my thing.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Kim. I am a nurse, so that's my name on YouTube is Nurse Kim. I have been on some version of the ketogenic diet off and on. I'd say mostly on. Sometimes I joke and say mostly off, but it's actually mostly on for about 5 or 6 years now. And it's been the only thing that's... Please stop. Sorry. Hush. Okay, so it's been the only thing that's really allowed me to lose weight and most of all feel better. I have, have basically resolved most of my issues, most symptoms that I had of anything, and I'm 48, so you know how when you get in your 40s, I don't know how old either one of you guys are, but when you get in your 40s, you kind of like start to feel things that weren't there before, and yeah, so it's helped a lot of different things.
No, that's great. So are you? How often are you a full-time nurse then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that keeps
I'm
you busy.
Full-time nurse, and yeah, and I have 4 boys, and they keep me busy also, and a husband, and just do the home mom thing as well. So
yeah, you keep pretty busy then. So I know you have a really good channel. I watch your shows when you put them on, and I enjoy them. And I hope I have everything correct here on the screen for your page. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think so.
Just
yeah.
Want to make sure you find Nurse Kim over there on her YouTube channel. She puts out some great content, and I watched her earlier on a live stream around this afternoon. So that was an impromptu one. There's like 5, wasn't there 5 people on there or so? That was...
Yeah, we had 5. Every time I do an impromptu live, I've always got people popping in, Nicole, I can always count on her.
Yeah.
And each time we get about 4 or 5 people in there. So it's fun, it's like, sometimes when you plan things out too much, it just doesn't suit my personality. I'm more of a like, hey, let's do this right now, Hey, I've got some time, so I like doing that.
Yeah.
I've actually thought about lately, Nicole's in the chat. But I've thought about lately just doing like daily lives just to like force myself to get in there and actually do it, I definitely need to get my watch hours up, and I need to get more comfortable with just putting content out that's not me driving around in my truck ranting about things. And I mean, that's fun too, but
Yeah. Definitely. I'm gonna
Hey, Nicole.
Caught up on a couple comments. Gordon, I finally had to be sick and tired of my situation. Went from 535 to 445 now without carnivore. I can't wait to see the transformation with it. Failure is not an option for me. You've got a great start. I must say, keep up the good work and just keep going with what's working for you and make adjustments and never quit. You'll get to where you're trying to go, Gordon. So I think that's awesome that you've lost that much weight. So keep up the good work.
And that's the right attitude to have too, because I mean, it's simple, but it's not easy, and it's a long road.
Yep, definitely.
So I'm going to give you a quick football update.
Okay, yep.
The Saints missed a field goal, and Jacksonville's got the ball, and it looks like they're moving downfield. They're across midfield. There might have been a fumble here.
Oh, yeah, it looks like a fumble.
I'm not sure who recovered, though. I think they recovered it, but maybe not. Maybe the Saints recovered, because, yeah, I guess the Saints must have recovered. So I guess the Saints got the ball back. Okay.
Oh, poor Becky. She just got a crown put on.
Hey, Becky. I always see my buddies in every chat I go to,
Yeah,
or what show or
yeah, it's kind of a family on here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, Brian and I have been in lives before together, at least one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. All righty. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to keep up with everything here.
Oh, there's Connie.
Just a couple of things. If you guys want to put where you're from in the comments, that would be great. And then also make sure you smash the like button so this gets out on the YouTube algorithm. That would be great. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about low-carb dieting and diabetes, and what effects can low-carb diets do for people that are diabetic. Nurse Kim, what do you have you experienced some of that, or have you helped some people that have done that?
Well, I myself was actually pre-diabetic, probably about, I guess it's probably been a couple years ago now. And I fixed that with keto and metformin. But I'm kind of interested to see what my numbers look like now as far as my A1C goes. I'm sure it's much, much better because I was, I had gone back and forth. I would fall off the wagon, the proverbial wagon, and it was just, I was a food addict, I was a carb addict. So no telling what it'll look like now, but
yeah, I don't know if you were listening earlier when me and Brian were talking about our blood work, but it definitely has made a big improvement for me, I know, and I'm no longer pre-diabetic, so it's made a difference for me, so for sure. So just wanted to thank Nicole for the super sticker there. Thank you for doing that. That's awesome to see. That just kind of reminds me, I was just letting people know earlier, but I'm sure there's a few more people on now. But me and Brian both accept super thanks, super stickers, and super chats. And you can find it in the comments. Just click the $sign if you want to donate. We really appreciate it. As we do have some costs putting on this show. But it's not something you have to do. So
just the equipment alone, I don't know how much stuff I've bought over the years for my YouTube journey. And then now that I'm finally actually doing something with it, it's like, I'm just relieved to be using this stuff, all the microphones and lights, and which I'm not even using today. I probably should have, but
Yep, definitely. All right. As far as have you had to treat anybody at all that was diabetic that maybe wasn't on a low carb diet, or have you run into any experiences of stuff like that?
Every day. I work now in a it's called the PACU. It's a recovery room essentially for the OR. So unfortunately, we have to amputate a lot of limbs because of diabetes. And, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of other people who have, they have arteries that are basically clotted off. or some of them lose their legs due to that. It's all due to metabolic syndrome. Well, I don't want to say always. I hate to say always and things like, cure and things like that on here, because I am a nurse and I don't want to, I don't diagnose people. Um, I'm not the end all be all of knowledge. A lot of this stuff is my opinion based on my experience.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there. But inflammation in your body causes a whole host of problems, all kinds of diseases. Um, just about any disease that you can think of uh, could be caused or made worse by inflammation in the body. And we know that certain foods that we eat are inflammatory. I mean, that's uncontested, I would say. Sugars, the seed oils, um, I mean, grains, just all the stuff that we used to live on in the SAD diet. Um, it just all, makes it worse if nothing else.
Yeah.
So, and everyone is so worried about cholesterol in my mainstream world, but when you look at that, that is not even, on a list of like 7 to 10 things that, like Dr. Berry has said. I'll quote the great Dr. Berry, right? High blood sugar and diabetes is up here and cholesterol's down here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna try to control that first before anything, and then we'll try our best with the cholesterol thing. But I'm still not completely. I'm not completely sold on. There's different schools of thought on it, and
Yeah.
It's very complicated, and I'm not the expert on that for sure. But for myself, I've seen my numbers improve with keto. Like I was saying earlier today, I haven't had my numbers done since I started carnivore, but I'm interested to see what they would be, just because I like data. um, but I'm not super concerned about it. And like I said, they improved with keto. I'm the person I've had high cholesterol since I was the first time I ever got it tested. I was 23 years old, and they gave us free labs at the first hospital I worked at. And so I was like, well, okay, I'll go get my free labs. And they said that they thought I had familial hypercholesterolemia. Like, okay, I feel fine. Um, so it's been a thing for me for a long time. And now the last time I was not high, I was considered borderline, but it's not even in the high category. So I don't remember what the exact numbers were. So don't ask. I've got all that somewhere, but yeah, I mean, how I feel is more important than anything. I mean,
Yeah,
if
those non-scale
even
victories are huge, aren't
yeah,
they?
and like, even if let's say that I would die 3 days earlier, or even a year, or I mean even 3 years earlier, if that were the case, if cholesterol was just this horrible thing that was going to kill me, I would rather live like I feel right now and have 3 less years of my life than live like I was. I was trending towards sick, you know?
Right.
So, what about you guys?
Go ahead, Brian. Did you have anything you want to add, or any questions that you want to, or give us an
So,
update on football
well,
game?
yeah, first let me
Yeah.
give you an update because this is kind
Yeah,
of
you can do
crazy.
that.
So the Saints had to punt, and Jacksonville, the returner, was getting ready to catch the punt, right? And his own man ran into him, and it went off his own man's back, and the Saints recovered. So the Saints just had a first and goal, but it looks like it's now fourth and goal. So I'm guessing they're probably going to kick a field goal here. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're going to attempt a field goal here. So pretty crazy sequence there. Let's see if they make the field goal because they missed the first one. They made this one. So 7-3 late first quarter. All right. So let's get back on topic here. Oh, after talking about all that, now I kind of forget exactly the topic. We were saying that
So what about you? How would you would you
yeah, so
rather live?
yeah. So all right, so in terms of that, so first of all, I'm not convinced that cholesterol really is a problem. I think it's more of there's been it's usually there when people have a problem because cholesterol is working to fight things in your body and so forth, right? That's my take on it. But anyway, if yeah, that there was so first of all, like if they tell you to take a statin, right? That's something I'm not gonna do myself. I think the last numbers I saw, it's something like 6 days that it lengthens your life on average is 6 days over not taking one. So that just
I
doesn't
think
seem
I
worth
heard
it.
3 days.
It might
It's a
be three
very
days.
small amount.
Yeah. So that just doesn't seem very worth it to me with all the different side effects and complications that you can have from it. Um, and so for me, like, so far with doing carnivore, I've lost joint pain that I used to have. Arthritis that I had on my big toes just seems to be gone. Back pain that I had. I have more energy. Um, I feel like going out and doing things when before I just wanted to stay, sit around. I had a little bit of minor depression, and I had AFib, and I haven't had an AFib episode in well over a year. So for me, there's all these good things that have happened that
Hmm.
if my life ends up being shortened by let's say a year because I'm doing this and cholesterol really is a problem, um, the difference is that I'm actually going to have a nice quality of life during that time period now until that happens that I wouldn't have had before because I just that was painful and I didn't feel good and didn't really want to do things and so forth. So it's a totally different um quality of life. So for me, I would definitely take it.
And
How about you,
that's,
Karen?
that's super important. I've kept, I've helped keep a lot of people alive for an extended period of time. That if I were them, I probably wouldn't have chosen that. I don't know that they would have chose that, but um, we can keep you alive. I mean, it's something we do pretty well actually. And then eventually you swell up and you've got fluid just seeping out of your entire body, and it's not a pretty picture. Um, your body takes a while to shut down, and even if we don't feed you, and even if usually we give people IV fluids minimum just for kind of just to be nice because that's a horrible way to go um, otherwise, but it can take a long time for people to pass away, and who knows what kind of life they've had up to that point, that got them there on the bed with me taking care of them. It's really sad. I've seen a lot of really sad cases. So, I'll never forget one of my most memorable patients was a diabetic who had both legs amputated, and he would just beg me to take him outside to smoke, every 2 hours. Um, and I would, because at that time it's like, what do we? I mean, I'm not going to save the world here in a couple days. I'm going to take you outside to smoke. You're going to smoke when you leave here, and I was just trying to be nice to the guy. Um, but I'll never forget the way, like, he just seemed like he knew it was because of his diabetes, but there are just so many people that just seem to be like totally un, you know, they lack the knowledge that diabetes is kind of preventable, not kind of preventable, it is preventable. diabetes type 2. Um, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of nurses that I work with that when I talk to them, they don't seem to understand that it's like Dr. Berry says, it's a carbohydrate toxicity. If you take the poison away, then you're gonna, I don't want to say fix the problem. I gotta watch what I say, but you're gonna be a lot better. If you have a normal A1C, are you still diabetic? Um, hmm. I'll let you make that decision. Yeah, it's just common sense, really. Whoops. I just hit my computer. It's common sense, really. And I don't know. I was talking to one of my fellow nurses a couple months ago, and I was telling her, um, that that you can make diabetes better by not eating all the carbs and stuff. And she's just looking at me like, now granted, she was a new nurse, but she's just looking at me like she was just totally not getting what I was saying. She thought that it was really out there, I could tell. And I'm like, you don't know, do you? And she's just like, this lady's crazy. I don't care. I don't care if they think I'm crazy. You know for yourself when you do it and you have the results. And then like they say, all of the N of ones, all of us together, we can't all be crazy. The numbers tell the story.
So I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Something I've heard before from people, and I wondered what your take was on this. So people that have diabetes, and they say that, so if you talk to them about saying like, oh, if you went low carb, you cut out the carbs and so forth, you can, get your A1C down and maybe not be diabetic again anymore and so forth. And they're like, oh, but I- I'm not supposed to let my A1C get low. It needs to be like in the fives or sixes. I don't understand that thinking, but it's like some doctors are telling people that. What is your thought about that?
I have literally never heard any doctor tell anybody that. And if they told somebody that, it's just wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no danger of having too low of an A1C.
So I know
So
someone more
I don't
recently
know
told
where
me
that
that
came
their
from.
doctor told them that they don't want it over a certain number, but they don't want it going below a certain number. And it was like five something. And I'm like, that just
I think
doesn't make
I
any
heard
sense to
somebody
me.
on one of these shows, say that, and I was just like, "What?" They're ignorant. I mean, they're just ignorant. That, and that this is the thing, okay? Not every person in the medical field is a diabetes expert. You know, we know about diabetes, sure, but they're not necessarily people that could teach other people about diabetes.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know. I can't even imagine why they would say that. It's just wrong. Was that a doctor? Do you know?
Well, somebody told me, so I've heard a couple of different times from people saying that kind of a thing, and somebody more recently told me that their doctor told them that they don't want them over like six or something, but they don't want them under like
Mm,
5.4 or something like that. And I'm like, because they're diabetic. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Don't you want to not be diabetic? I don't get
that
it.
is bizarre. I mean, that I would have to say, "Hey doc, what's your rationale for that?" That's my favorite thing to say when they say something stupid that I don't agree with. I just say, "Hey, could you tell me your rationale for that, please? That way you educate me, and I know, and we both know." You
Mhm.
know. The only thing I can think of is maybe their thought process is, oh, we've got this person on insulin. We don't want their sugar getting too low. Who knows? I don't know. That sounds crazy.
They don't want to change up their medications,
I
right?
mean, they do put these people on long acting insulin. Well, all kinds of different insulin. Um, but primarily when they've had it so long that, it's just not working well for them anymore, they put them on tons and tons of insulin, and they'll just keep increasing that insulin. And it can get somebody to bottom out, because if they don't eat what they're supposed to, they don't eat a certain amount of carbs, they're not going to be able to, they're going to bottom out with their sugar. And it can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to get caught up on a couple of things. There was a couple super chats, a little bit, or a super chat and a super sticker. Brad here did a super sticker, and then Becky here did a super chat. Thank you very much. And I think Cole did one too here. So super.
they're having a competition, I think.
Yeah, they were saying that. I just wanted to point that out and thank them for those. And then I think when you were talking, Brad left you a message. I don't know if you've seen that, but you're a true hero, he says, and that, as all nurses are. And,
Thank you.
And I think Nicole said that she agreed with that 100%. So just wanted to make sure I pointed that out to you in case you missed it. I know you were talking.
Nicole's mom is a nurse too.
I want to interrupt real quick and talk about that, because I was at the hospital visiting someone a few weeks ago, and so this was in the what do they call it? The heart area? I forget.
Like the open heart unit or the heart cath?
I don't know.
CTICU.
I guess I don't know.
Cardiovascular.
Yeah, I guess the cardio, whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so all the people
cardiac
up there,
ICU.
Yeah, cardiac. There you go. So anyway, there was like 4 different wings right to that floor, and like I want to say there was like 3 nurses or something like that. And they were constantly just running all over the place. And when you think about it, I mean, you guys work like 12-hour shifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of us think about that. 12 hours just running all over the place, constantly behind, because there's not enough of you. And really the doctors come in like what, once a day in the morning usually, maybe you see them in the evening a little bit. So most of the work that is happening there is the nurses. That the nurses are taking care of everybody and making sure their vitals are good and all that stuff, and they're running crazy at work. That's just amazing to see, because it's like unbelievable that they're so short staffed, at least at this particular hospital.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to see, and just want to bring that up. Like, the work that the nurses do is just great. So thank you to all nurses, including you.
It depends on where you are too. I'm very fortunate. And I've worked at the place I've worked at 3 times for a reason. I keep leaving and then coming back, leaving and then coming back. I'm not going to leave again. It's pointless. They've got me probably until retirement, or until my YouTube gets really, really takes off. Here in about 15 years, but they're really good. It's not only a good place to learn because it's a teaching hospital, and it's good because being a teaching hospital, we have like teams of doctors, and somebody's always there. But they are really big about our staffing ratio as well. And I remember when I came there for the first time, I was working in the ICU pool, which means they just put me wherever they want me in the entire hospital, whether it be ICU, floor, ER. I did rapid response for a while, like just anywhere. So I would go to the floors and I'm like, you guys only have 4 patients? And they said, yeah, we can't have more than 4 patients. And I was like, okay. I mean, I was not used to that. Where I came from, we'd have 6, 7, 8 patients, so they're really good about it where I work. And I don't like to put where I work out there. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to figure out if you follow my channel at all. just from the context clues. But, I don't represent them in this capacity. So, but yeah, I will say that people come to our hospital like as travel nurses and they stay over a year and they don't want to leave. And then sometimes they sign on with us. So, I'm lucky in that respect. But that being said, we still have busy days even when we're appropriately staffed. So it can, the running, it happens. But where I'm at, they let us have 45-minute lunch, or not 45-minute, 30-minute lunches. Used to be 45 until somebody told HR. Now it's 30. we were combining our 30s and our 15s because nobody ever gets both of them. So we're like, let's just do 45s, and we were all in agreement, and we did it for years and years and years. And then somebody got us in trouble, and now we can only do 30s, but it's okay. But we actually get to step away and somebody else takes care of our patients for that amount of time. So that is unheard of in my experience in nursing. And I've been a nurse for, I think I told you 22 years. It's actually been 23. So
Jeez. Brian, do you have a game update for us?
I do. So Jacksonville scored again. Travis Etienne, rushing touchdown, made it 14-3. He became the first Jaguars running back to get 2 or more touchdowns in 3 straight games.
Oh, wow.
First player. So pretty cool. So it's 14-3, early second quarter. Saints are just across midfield.
Very nice. Let's see here. There was something I was going to say, and I can't. Oh, I know. Hey, if any of the audience out there has any questions, go ahead and put a Q in front of it. They can be directed at Kim, myself, or Brian. We'll take any questions you guys have, so go ahead and put those in anytime if you like.
You probably see all my diabetes information behind me. I was watching a bunch of Dr. Barry's videos and kind of just like, they want me to talk about diabetes, so I better make sure that I kind of polish up on it a little, even though, I feel like I've lived a life of, studying about this stuff for probably the last 6 or 7 years. But yeah, I got me a new whiteboard. So I've got like all the numbers, pre-diabetes, diabetes, and then a couple of books written down back there too. So
Nice.
I was telling Nicole it makes me look like a crazy person or something. I'm like, yeah, my husband came home and he's like, what is all this stuff? And I said, I was listening to videos and taking notes. I'm nerdy. I can't help it.
Hello,
Who would
retired
win
fat
in a
guy.
fight?
Thanks for joining us. Nicole.
Nicole, you're so funny.
I would say Superman.
Wasn't there a movie where they actually fought each other recently? Like in the last 5-10 years or something?
I don't
Was there
know.
Superman
I would have
versus
to ask
Batman
Mom.
or something like that? I didn't see it, but I think there was a movie. I don't know who won though.
I bet
If
my
somebody
sons
saw
would
it, let
know.
us know. Yeah, if somebody watched that movie, I'm pretty sure it was called Superman versus Batman or something like that. If somebody watched it, let us know in the comments who won, because we obviously don't know.
Retired fat guy says, I'm on the heart health. I'm A team for Carrie's movie. Is there anything you have all spoke of for your heart health?
So, like, as far as like, I need some clarification on that question.
Meanwhile, Brad says there was a movie not that long ago, or it was a long movie. And then
Probably just
Nicole
kept going
said it was
back
a
and
bad
forth, hitting
movie.
each other, right?
So,
go
I
ahead.
think I know where he's going with this. I mean, for sure, diabetes is a risk factor for heart disease. Um, you know, inflammation in general is a risk factor for heart disease. There are. Did I have any heart health issues? I didn't personally, but I used to be an open heart surgery nurse though, so I know quite a bit about the heart. I just yeah, I've not had any heart problems, thank goodness. I know Brian
I was gonna
said he
say
had
Brian could probably answer
AFib.
this one.
Yeah, so I had AFib, which has to do with the electrical signals, electronic signals, I guess the way you say it, going to your heart to tell you to, your heart to beat. Um, the actual function of the heart itself outside of that has been good. There has been any other issues found. So I got diagnosed with AFib back in 2018. My cardiologist told me it would just continually get worse, and the best thing I could do was try and lose weight, and that might help a little bit, but it would just continually get worse. And he was right in that it continually got worse. Um, and before I started carnivore, it was to the point that I was having a couple episodes a week. Within a few weeks of
Mhm.
starting carnivore, I noticed that I wasn't having AFib episodes anymore, and I'm now 15 months into carnivore, and I'm over 14 months without a single episode. I have lost
Yay.
weight. Thank you. I have lost weight, but also I completely cut out bad food. That was obviously a problem before, right?
Yeah.
I would eat sugary foods, and I liked to eat fried foods. I was a guy that would be going to like Bojangles or Popeyes or something and eating their fried chicken and stuff like that, right? That was, they use some sort of vegetable oils probably or whatever. So that was, probably a big problem for me. And I'm, staying away from all that stuff now. And, things have been going pretty well. So hopefully it continues. If nothing else, it's gotten a whole lot better. So
Hmm.
we'll see how it goes as I continue to go here, but it's been good.
And just to elaborate on the whole heart thing, so he's talking about the electrical conduction of your heart, which basically there's two things that your heart does. It has an electrical conduction, and the electrical conduction is what you see on the screen, the rhythm that you see. That tells the heart, the muscle, the pump, what to do basically. It signals and it triggers it to do its, physical pumping. Now, with atrial fibrillation, like what Brian is talking about, you lose, like, basically the fibrillating. It's kind of just like, quivering. So basically, you got two atria and you got two ventricles, right and left, both, top and bottom. So it means that your atria are not given a good pump. Okay. So normally it would be like top and bottom would do like this, and then it goes through and goes to the lungs, and then the bottom sends it out. Okay. Comes back to the atria and then the ventricle, and then that sends it back out to the body. So it's just like a pump. It's really easy concepts to understand when you understand, like, the heart is just a pump. Like if you ever use a sump pump to get water out of your basement, it's the same kind of principle, right? Um, but when you lose that contraction of your atria, you lose about 30% of, your of what your heart can pump out, basically. So it's just kind of like a sloppy pump that's not really working that well. It's still doing its thing. I mean, it's not like ventricular fibrillation where it's just literally doing nothing, next to nothing. But and that's a lethal arrhythmia where, it's just like this on the screen. Um, and those people are usually not conscious. Um, but and they're dying, actually. I mean, that's not funny. Sorry. Nurses, we have weird humor. Sorry, we left at inappropriate times. But yeah, so he had lost about 30% of his push to get that blood out into the circulation. And as you can imagine, that can cause all kinds of problems. It can cause blood clots to develop in just random places, like inside the heart, or be showered to other areas of the body. It can cause, shortness of breath, definitely anxiety, because man, when you have any kind of palpitations going on like that, I mean, it just makes you feel like it's just taking your breath, And I haven't had AFib. I've had PVCs, which when you have VTAC, it's a bunch of PVCs together, premature ventricular contractions. It's these wide, bizarre. I'm gonna have to draw it now. Let's see here. I'm gonna get a red pen since it's the heart and show y'all what it looks like. Okay. So it would look like that. Okay, like instead of just being okay, that's what the whole rhythm normally looks like. But when you start getting these wide, bizarre ones in there, y'all can't see it. It gets wide and bizarre like this. It's called a PVC. You get a bunch of PVCs in a row, and that's VTAC. So, and that can happen because of electrolyte imbalance in your body, usually magnesium being low. So that's why it's important to make sure that you are getting that stuff checked, and make sure that you're eating a proper diet with proper, electrolytes. So.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, and I can't blame you for watching the playoff baseball game tonight. B Dog. We like the replays though too, don't we, Brian? We like when people watch those. It's all good.
Yep.
I count on those replays. I'm like, I don't even care if anybody watches the live. I'm just getting it out there and not having to edit it. That's the best. That's the bonus for me. Okay.
Here's another question here for you. Maybe for Brian too.
Okay, what can you tell us about enlarged hearts as it comes to the electrical? And is one side of the heart more of an issue than the other, and how does that relate to AFib? So, if you have an enlarged heart, okay, so first of all, the electrical conduction of the heart, it can get irritated at a lot of things, okay? I mean, you could be a little dehydrated and you could get PVCs like I was saying that I get, or your magnesium could be a little bit low, or your potassium, or, whatever. And you could get, it just gets irritated, and it just kind of starts throwing weird beats like that. And that's really of no consequence as long as it resolves, and, I'm fine now. I don't have those every day. But in an enlarged heart, that usually indicates like CHF, congestive heart failure. And it's usually like the enlargement. Well, you can have the whole heart be enlarged, but the enlargement of the ventricles, it makes it, the ones at the bottom, like pump, 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 the ones at the bottom, okay, it makes it where they get just kind of boggy and they're inefficient. Now, that doesn't really have anything to do with the electrical conduction, although you can have things interfere with the electrical conduction, like say if you have a heart attack. Okay, and this is another completely separate thing. You've got your blood that pumps inside your heart, and then it has vessels that go around your heart, and those supply the blood to the pump itself, right? So when they say they have a heart cath, or they've had a blockage, what they're talking about is those blood vessels that go around the heart. I wish I had a little model to hold here, but say this is the heart and you've got these vessels on the outside of it. If you have a blood clot or a plaque forming in there, they may have to go in, they'll go in through your groin or through your arm, and they'll open that up. And that way you continue to supply the heart with blood to pump efficiently. Now, if you've ever had like a mild heart attack, sometimes you might not even know it. You can tell on an EKG, because whatever area that it is that you had that heart attack in, that conduction, like the electrical conduction, goes from top to bottom, okay? And so each each little place that it goes through, it's like, it could damage that. So that could interfere with your rhythm, which is what you see on the screen. Okay. But we can give you a pacemaker and trigger that rhythm to trigger the pump. But once you get enough heart failure, the pump just can't pump anymore. And then that's really bad. So, and is one side of the heart more of an issue than the other? So, not really as it relates to AFib, but left ventricular heart failure is the worst, because that is what sends the blood back out to the body, and it's got to pump that blood against all that pressure. Like, think of all the pressure that's in your vessels. That's your vessels are constantly dilating and expanding, just well, due to many different things, but to control your blood pressure and keep it in a normal range. So, as you can imagine, if you have a boggy heart that's not good at pumping, and it's trying to pump against that pressure, think of a water hose that's full of water, right? And it's just shooting water out, and you got something on the other end that's not really able to effectively push it through. Everything gets backed up. You can get it backed up into your lungs. Then you start having, that's why people with congestive heart failure have like the cough when they lay down at night. And then eventually they get, flash pulmonary edema. They'll start coughing up blood and frothy sputum. And yeah, I mean, it can be bad. But as far as AFib goes, that's, a lot more minor than one of the ventricular type rhythms. People can live in AFib. They can have AFib every day of their life. And we'll put them on blood thinners to make sure that they don't throw clots, form clots and throw clots and damage themselves further. But yeah, so that's the short of it, put it that way. It gets really deep when you start explaining this stuff, and you're like, great. Oh, I should have gone there. Well, but if I went there, that's going to take us way out there, and you guys don't want to go there, I promise.
Brian, is there anything you wanted to add with AFib?
No, I mean, I'm certainly not an expert. So no. The only thing I will say is it's interesting because some people will say that they can really tell when they are in AFib, and some people say that they can't really tell. For me, at first I couldn't really tell. I think that I kind of learned how to recognize it just by feeling the beating of my heart, right? That it was different. But yeah, for me, it's never been like really like, wow, strong beating, whatever. But then I notice, like when I've gone into an episode, like I might notice a little bit with the beating, and one of the things that I can really catch with it would be like if I seem to be tired, or if I'm going to the bathroom very often. That's another sign that I've had, and I've heard from other. I think my doctor said that that's a sign that you're in AFib, that you have to urinate more often. So those are some little things that I've kind of noticed, but I haven't really had where it's just so obvious, and like some people say like it's painful for them even because they can feel it so bad. I've never really experienced that, but yeah, I mean, I did learn how to recognize it more, and like I said, I don't know if I didn't actually say today, but I actually got to the point where I could kind of stress my heart a certain ways and cause myself to go into AFib, which I know is not a good thing, but just from like working out, like if I was using heavier weights, I would, within 5, 6, 7 minutes, I would go into AFib. So before going on carnivore and, changing my health, it was kind of to the point where working out wasn't even really an option anymore. And now I can work out with even heavier weight, and I don't go into any episodes. So But for me, I did have one time when I was in AFib and I could not get out of it um, on my own. And they were worried because anytime I got up from the bed, my heart rate and blood pressure would go up pretty high. So they were worried, about potential stroke and that kind of stuff. So the next morning they did shock my heart back into rhythm. So they did have to do that for me once.
Cardioversion.
Yeah. So they had to do that for me once.
Maybe
Yeah.
you can take a look at this, Kim. He's always had a low blood pressure, or I'm sorry, low beats per minute. I was always active, low meaning 38 beats a minute, and I hang out
Oh,
around 52 beats per minute. I have an enlarged heart with a left ventricle being the issue. My arteries at 0% chance of death. And he's wondering if he should be worried.
so okay, so a really low heart rate like that can either be really normal or really not great. I'm not trying to laugh. I laugh at inappropriate times. I'm telling you, it's the nurse in me. So in like a young athlete, they will have sometimes a heart rate in the 30s and 40s, and it just be like perfectly normal for them. Okay. The worst thing is when you get really low blood pressure and really low heart rate. That's like a very ominous sign. But as far as like you said, you have left. Will you put that other one back up there so I can see? Okay, so you've always had low heart rate. So were you an athlete? Like young, very fit athletes will have stuff like that, and but then you went on to say that you have an enlarged heart with the left ventricle being the issue. So in left-sided heart failure, you can have low heart rate as well. You may need, I mean, I can't, like, I'm not a cardiologist. I'm not trying to diagnose or anything, but I mean, what has your doctor said about that? Sometimes people need pacemakers for that. But what did your doctor say about your left ventricular hypertrophy enlargement?
Well, we're waiting for that. Do you want to go up to the 9:23 p.m. one, or I guess it'd be 8:23 your time? There was a question. Yeah. So can you explain what are the episodes you feel with AFib? So for me, I could just kind of feel the beating is faster, different, you kind of feel like your heart is racing, that kind of thing. And again, I would feel more tired. So, I mean, it was before I went on carnivore, so I was already always kind of tired, but I just felt more tired than I would be. Like, there was one time in the evening I was sitting there and I had been in an episode and I wasn't exactly sure if I was or anything. I hadn't checked yet. But I was like, you know what? I just it's the evening and I shouldn't be that tired yet, but I feel like I want to go to bed. So I'm really tired. And so I checked and sure enough, I had an irregular heartbeat. So I knew at that point that I was in AFib. Um, so AFib is different than irregular heartbeat, but it shows up like if you do have a blood pressure cup, whatever, it'll show up as irregular because it is irregular. Um, but so yeah, that's the kind of things that I would notice in my episode. But again, everybody seems to be different, and there's people that I know that have said like the beating of their chest is just like pounding, and um, for me, I haven't had that, but some people that they really feel it that way.
So I want to add something to what he just said. Along with my Apple Watch, if I'm ever concerned about whether or not I have AFib, which is as a heart nurse has been regularly, because we always think the worst when we have any kind of little fluttering or any kind of weird feeling or shortness of breath. We always think, oh, throat cancer, or, I must have AFib, or, I mean, not that AFib's the worst, don't get me wrong, but we always think, it's never just like you might have had a little PVC, like a little flutter, and it'll be fine. We think the worst. So your Apple Watch will sensor an irregular heart rate, which it calls looking for AFib, which, okay, sure. um, that's probably the most common irregular heart rate. But yeah, so I would also feel my pulse, just normally I'd feel it on my neck. You know how to feel your pulse, probably from grade school gym class. Just feel it and see if it's regular, and then count the number of beats. And
Yeah.
probably 60 to 100 is where you want it to be. And then you can tell if it's irregular, like, it should be like, regular versus irregular. And if it's irregular, it could possibly be AFib. They would have to hook you up to a monitor to tell for sure, but just a little,
yeah. So I have a Fitbit that I wear because I have AFib.
Yeah.
And so I'm like constantly looking at it to see, what my heart rate's at. But like when I'm in an episode, sure tell sign is looking at my watch here, my Fitbit, and like it'll be, let's say, 90 or something beats per minute, and then all of a sudden, just like out of nowhere, it goes to like 115, 120, 125, whatever, and then does that for maybe 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then it goes back down to like 90 or something.
Yeah.
And then it shoots back up again. That's when you're in an episode.
And see, that's another thing too. Sorry to interrupt, but with AFib, the most dangerous thing, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. The most dangerous thing with AFib is is for the rate to not be controlled. We have people that are rate controlled AFib that just live like that every day. They might be 70s to 90s, whatever. But when you get up in the, 120s, 130s, that's when it's not really great to keep your body functioning optimally. So that's when they really need to do something about it, whether that be drugs or, cardioversion. If you're symptomatic, they would cardiovert you, which is what Brian had done.
Yeah. So when I had the cardioversion done, after that, they decided to put me on a beta blocker to lower my heart rate. And just as you said, when I went into an episode after that, it wasn't nearly as bad. Like my heart rate would be like 60s or 70s, and then it would shoot up to like 80, 90, something like that, and then go back down some. So it wasn't nearly as bad because the beta blocker was keeping my heart rate lower. So that's another thing. If you're on a beta blocker, that'll help. So.
What's up, Kip? How you doing?
Kip.
So quick update, I guess, for the game here. I think the Saints just got a field goal. Minute 57 seconds left in the first half. It's now 14-6, and they're getting ready to kick off to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So do I need to get off here so that your other guest?
You can stay as long as you like. So I was going to say our next guest is ready to be queued in. So you want to stick around a little bit while?
I'll hang up for a little bit. I don't know how much longer I can. I have to work tomorrow. So
feel free to log off when you want, but stay as long as you like. So
okay.
We appreciate you being on for sure.
No problem. It's been fun.
Yeah. All right. We're going to bring in our next guest. And we've got Brad in tonight. How you doing, Brad?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. You got the club shirt on too. What's the deal tonight?
I thought I was doing something special, and then I popped in here. I'm like, Brian and Greg are already wearing the shirt, so
and
I got the lowest number.
It isn't always about the scale.
I know.
For sure. Well, Brad, I know you've been kind of watching the show, and why don't you kind of introduce yourself to everybody and tell them what you got going on and how things are going for you?
All right. So Brad Tiedemann's my name, from Mason City, Iowa. I've known Greg since probably our freshman year in high school. We got funny stories we could tell about our first few encounters, but that's for another day. But anyway, so I guess I'm on here because back in October of 1990, which was just a few months after graduating high school, I found out I was a type 1 diabetic. So when I was a senior in high school, I think I weighed 205 pounds. And by October of 1990, so a few months later, I had dropped down to 135 pounds. I had all the typical symptoms, urinating all the time. Obviously, I lost a ton of weight. Just very tired. I know the day I said I need to go to the doctor, I was mowing my parents' yard. I was still living at home mowing the yard, and it wasn't a very big yard. And I think I got about halfway through it, and I was so tired I couldn't even push the lawnmower anymore. So I'm like, I gotta go to the doctor. So like this month was my 33rd year of being a type 1 diabetic. As you can imagine, over 33 years, there's been a lot of changes in how to manage type 1 diabetes, and so I've kind of been, and I'll say I've been on like a roller coaster over all those years with blood sugars and A1Cs and everything, and weight. And so just recently here over the last December, I had gotten up to a weight of around 235 pounds, and which was heavy for me. And it's like, and I wasn't feeling the best, and my A1Cs were like 6.9, which according to the doctors and the American Diabetes Association, type 1s, they say if you're under 7%, you're under control, and they'll tell you you're doing a good job, right? So that's what I always went with over all the years. But like I said, in December, I was actually changing jobs, and I'm like, I'm changing my job. I want to start focusing more on my health. So I started focusing, like working out again, started dieting again. And when I say dieting, I mean just like started out on the starvation thing again. So just eating salads and not doing really a sustainable thing. And then started doing more research on like how to do diets and more low carb. And I think Greg actually sent me Facebook things on the keto diet. So I started investigating on that, and then I got into a low carb diet, and then I started getting on YouTube. Got a lot of information from like Dr. Barry, like a lot of people have, but then Dr. Bernstein, who's a type 1 diabetic, he's like in his 80s, and he was talking about low carb. There's a Dr. Hallberg who's passed away, unfortunately, but she had a lot of like TED Talks one key TED Talk that I watched, and she talked a lot about low carb dieting and diabetes, and for both type 2 and type 1. And I'm like, this is the way I need to go. And I never had any dietitians or anything tell me, you should be on a low carb diet. It was always basically just cover your carbs with insulin. And, I've even been told you can eat whatever you want. And I had a dietitian probably 15 years ago that I met with because I wanted to get better control, that had me basically set up on over 200 carbs a day. And it wasn't until I got onto YouTube and did a lot of reading and investigating and stuff that it's like, yeah, I could do this low carb, and I could help my blood sugars and not have the roller coasters, the spikes, and then the lows and the spikes and the lows. And because there's so many, I would say, type 1 diabetics, that's the life. And that's the life I've lived for the last 30 plus years until the low carb thing. So anyways, like I mentioned, I started in December. My A1Cs always usually ran from 6.8 to 7.2. But with doing this low carb diet, by April, I had dropped to 6.2. And then last month, I had a 5.7. and 5.7 for a type 1 diabetic is very good in my, because basically I'm on borderline not diabetic, so I'm even getting out of that pre-diabetic stage when you're looking at the type 2 side of things. So there's a big difference between type 1 and type 2. So like my body doesn't produce insulin anymore, so I have to take insulin. I can't be cured at this point in time, but I can have a lot better blood sugar control with my diet. And that's somebody made the comment like everybody deserves to have normal blood sugars, and that was one of the things that hit me is it's like, yeah, why can't I have normal blood sugars? And so since going to low carb, and when I say low carb, like I usually run about 50 carbs a day. I'm not doing the carnivore thing or the keto thing, but there's days where I only do 20 carbs or 15 carbs. It just depends on how we plan for the day. But so things have improved significantly. You can see I have a 50-pound club shirt on. So I went from 235 and I now weigh 180 pounds, which is basically what I weighed when I was in college. Like I said, I dropped to 135 right after high school, and then I got back up when I started college. I was like 165, but I was still pretty skinny for a 6'3" college kid, and so I ended up like 180 probably by the time I was done with college. But then I've always been like in the low 200s to 235 is when I can't get my pants on without laying down on the bed. So it's like that's usually was a key to it's time to do something different. But with the whole low carb thing and that's, to me, that's Greg always talks about lifestyle change rather than calling it a diet. It's a lifestyle change. And for me, this is the most sustainable thing that I feel like I've been a part of. And I feel very confident that this is going to last for the rest of my life. And to add to that, like my wife is also a type 1 diabetic. So we kind of, it's been great because we work together on how we do. And she's always done way better than I have with control. So she usually runs in the low 6s for her A1C. She just always did a lot better job managing it. I'm a guy, so I didn't always do the best manage it. I had a lot of fun and didn't care. But honestly, when you're a type 1 diabetic and you're trying to manage it and you're trying to cover your carbs and it just doesn't work. Like it's and it gets frustrating. And when you get frustrated, then you just lose the care about it. And I'll say, like, I've had slight depression over it, because you're like, okay, I'm trying this, but it's not working. Just because it gets back to that trying to cover carbs and it just doesn't work. There's glycemic indexes on everything and everything affects it differently, but just now when you're running lower carbs, you have so much better control. There's less chance of being off when you're trying to count your carbs. And I just found that now my blood sugars are basically, they're almost, they're not perfectly flat, but if you look at it compared to 2 years ago, it's flattened out quite a bit. So I very rarely get over 150 for my blood sugar level. Even after meals, whereas before, it was common to go over 200 after I had a meal. That was just normal. Even when I have an insulin pump and I have a CGM, so I see what my blood sugar is every 5 minutes. But even the doctor's like, oh, it's normal to go to 250 after you eat, and it's just a matter of getting back down to like 160 within 2 hours after eating, after you've ate your meal, and that's called good. Well, now I don't even get over 160 after I eat a meal anymore. So it's 2 hours after I eat a meal, I'm usually back to like 100. And so it's my average blood sugars. I'll just show it. I even keep myself a little chart. Excel. I'm pretty good at Excel. So I keep track. So like my average blood sugars for the month of September was 117. So that's all of my blood sugars. I averaged 117. So hence that's why I ended up with an A1, and that's the way it was for the last 3 months. Like my average blood sugar was a 118, 115, 117 for the last 3 months. So that's how my A1C ends up being 5.7. When you run into 7%, A1C, then I think that's like averaging like 170 or 100. It's like a pretty high. What's the high blood sugar average? But that, like I said, the ADA considers that to be in control. But I just, like I said, there's just a lot more, I think, education that the doctors need, and I think there's a lot more education that the dietitians need to share the low carb plan with people that are type 1 diabetic, and just instead of feeding the whole like you can eat what everybody else wants, because I think that's bad advice. But there's a lot of that's what's being pushed. I mean, I watched a video Dr. Berry showed, and it was about the ADA, and he showed like one of the recipes they have on their website is for apple crisp, which is like a lot of carbs, and it's like, why are they pushing this? You know, because I feel like, and this is just my opinion, like they want so bad for type 1 diabetics to just feel like they're normal, or like you're a normal person, especially the kids. Like they want a kid to feel like they're growing up like every other kid and can eat what every other kid does. But I think I think you just have to come to the conclusion that you're a type 1 diabetic, and there's better things for your long-term health if you just follow a low carb diet and manage your blood sugars. And you know, you don't have to not eat sugar stuff ever. I mean, I still have a scoop of ice cream like every 3 weeks or whatever, or go to the local place, and but I know how to manage that a lot better. You know, it's not like I'm eating an 80 carb meal and then having ice cream for dessert. I can manage going to the old creamery in town and getting one scoop of ice cream, and it's like, I know it's like 25 carbs and that'll cover it, and I know that I'm not already 200 because of what I had for supper, so I can way better manage it, and I don't see that hit. So just so much stuff I've learned from YouTube and listening to the people's, you know, other type 1 diabetics, even type 2 diabetics, even though they're two different scenarios, it's the same diet plan can work for both. And you get the same results for both. I mean, yeah, I don't make insulin. Type 2 diabetics make insulin, but they have a lot of insulin resistance going on. But getting on a low carb diet will help a type 2 diabetic get, you know, they can be basically cured or get rid of the whole diabetes side of things. So there's just so much bad education out there, is what I found over the last 10 months. So I feel like we're definitely both of my wife and I are definitely on the right track. Because I said, I've lost 55 pounds now. My wife has actually lost, let me do the math in my head here, 35 pounds. So between the two of us, we've lost 90 pounds in the last 10 months. So, and she's like, she weighs like 120 pounds now. So she's back to the weight. She's to the weight like when we first started dating, and she's basically back to her high school weight too now. And for having 3 kids, that's pretty damn awesome. So, and she feels great about herself. You know, it's like, you could just tell like your mood change. I can see her mood changes because she's just a lot more confident in her health and how she looks and how she feels right now. So, and she goes to the doctor on Monday, so I'm interested to see like what her A1C comes out as, because it wouldn't surprise me if she was under 6% too. So
that's pretty awesome. The amount of weight you guys have lost, but two, just the non-scale victories and how much it's changed your life and managing diabetes. I mean, that's been huge. Quick, not to change the subject, Brian, do you have a score update?
I do. Jacksonville kicked a field goal here. Like they might have hit halftime. Last thing I saw, there was like 20 seconds left, but they might have hit halftime. But anyway, it's 17. So it's 17-6 Jacksonville now.
Okay.
I have a question.
I don't know what you guys are doing, but you seem to be like a minute ahead of the game on. I don't know, because I'm watching it on my Amazon channel, right? And it's like, and you guys are like talking in the future when I'm watching the game. I'm like, I was even sitting there, I told my wife, I'm like, you mentioned there's 5.5 minutes left. And I'm looking like, I'm seeing 6.5 minutes left. And Brian's already talking about they got a first down. And so I don't know what you guys are watching the game on, but it's obviously a minute ahead of me.
Hey, Brad, you want to bet on some future plays?
Yeah. That's All right.
Kim, do you have any questions for Brad?
I do. I have a question. It's probably the least relevant thing of all this that he's talked about, but I always pick that weird question to ask. I'd like to know how he met his wife with them both being type 1 diabetics. That's
So
very interesting.
we both worked together. So she was the receptionist at the company that I worked for. So I hit on the receptionist at work. But then I found, then we started, I started talking and stuff, and then I found out she was a type 1 diabetic too, and then we started. We obviously talked a lot at work, and then just went on from there.
That's
So
really cool that you could find somebody that truly understands what you're going through, because I mean, no matter how much somebody knows about diabetes, type 1 is a whole different animal. I mean, it's the same in a lot of ways, but like you said, I mean, you don't produce any insulin, so there's a lot of differences there too.
And trust me,
and people don't understand. Like even a lot of nurses, I feel like don't understand.
Yeah. She's helped me out. Like I can't even tell you how many times. Like just in my life in general. Just when we started this low carb thing, she actually put together. It's like 200 pages now of low carb recipes. And so she has a 200-page recipe book with nothing but low carb. So it's for snack items, supper items, dinner items, breakfast items, desserts, like everything. And so we've always done menus, like weekly menus, and planned our meals, but now we just plan with low carb items. And then so we'll pick like what we want to do. I don't know if I have that sheet. Yeah, I actually do. So this is just our cheat sheet, right? So this is all the low carb meals that we want to try that we haven't. And so, like I said, she's got like a 200-page recipe book. So she writes down all the ones that we want to try that we haven't tried yet. And then we just pick, that's how we fill out our week. We'll just pick off this list and cross them off. And then she does.
Okay, she needs to get into the meal planning for low carb people and just send us over like for the week. We could pay her weekly and she can just send us over the recipes. And don't worry, Kim, on this day you're going to have this. Don't even think about it. Just go to the grocery store and get this.
And that's exactly what we do. So we pick those meals, and then that's planned for the week. And then I actually do the grocery shopping. Like that's my Sunday morning thing. And we actually started that when COVID started, and only one person could go to the grocery store. And I'm like, well, you're doing all the cooking. I'll take the ownership of getting the groceries, since she did the majority of the cooking, and I worked, and so that just worked out for us, and we just continue to do that. So yeah, so that helps. It helps
cool.
Being able to support each other. The thing that did, it's like, we have 3 kids, and the biggest stress for me was like, as they're growing up, every time one of the kids gets sick or whatever, then the first thing that would come to my mind anyways, because I'd stress out as God, I hope they're not getting type 1, it's like, but luckily they're all, like my youngest is 23 now. So I'm hoping I know you can get it after the 20s, but the older 2 are in their 30s. So it's like, I feel like a little more in the clear for them. So, but definitely the support I have from her has been great for me. And because I was horrible. When I was in my 20s, I was horrible. I was a horrible diabetic.
I feel like most type 1s in their 20s are. I was good friends with a guy at the dance club that I used to hang out at every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And he was a type 1. And I mean, there was just many times when, he wouldn't show up, and we'd be like, where's he at? And they had found him down at home and had to take him in, and I mean, just barely saved his life. It just, I mean, so much that he went through. And
luckily I've never had an episode like that. Hopefully I never do, but
he didn't really take good care of himself at all.
But it's just like I said, when it's so hard to control it, like back then, is check your blood sugar, poking your finger 5 times a day, and
And a lot of people just didn't do it, you
Yeah,
know?
and I was one of those people. Like I'd get because I my problem was I'd get so frustrated with trying to keep it under control, and then I couldn't keep it under control. And I'm like very competitive even with myself. So like when I feel like I'm failing, because I felt like I was failing all the time. Like I try my best, and the blood sugars would still be high, and it's like why the hell I am bothered with this, you know, when I'm trying to do what the doctors are telling me, and I'm still fighting it all the time. And
Yeah.
I think it was a big deal when I started using the CGM and being able to see my blood sugar every 5 minutes versus poking my finger every 5 or 6 times a day. Being able to see your blood sugar every 5 minutes is just a game changer for anybody. So it's unfortunately you got to have good insurance, and it's not cheap, and it's that's the most expensive part of managing it is the cost of a CGM and the transmitter and all that stuff. And I have that for me and my wife both. So luckily I have really good insurance that covers a lot of it, but I still spend thousands of dollars a year out of pocket for all the supplies for both of us for everything.
Do you have an insulin pump?
Yeah, I've had an insulin pump. I think it's probably for the last 14 years or so.
I think that's pretty standard now with type 1s.
Yep. So that was a game changer too. Obviously, it's a lot easier running a pump than it is taking shots all the time, especially like it was always a pain in the butt when you're out in public. And first it was you had syringes, and I'm sure you know this. You start like when I first was diabetic, it was syringes for years, and then the pens came out, and the pens was a big thing for me because you could carry the pen around like anything else, and you didn't have to worry about having your vial of insulin and keeping it cool and all that stuff. You could just have a pen on you and just shoot up when you needed to. So that was a big new thing I thought, that came out. But then when it came to the insulin pump, I think insulin pumps was a big game changer, just to not have to shoot up 3 or 4 times a day. And just now I just change the pump change my stuff every 3 to 4 days. With the low carb, going to low carb, like my insulin usage has dropped probably more than half. So there's like, for people that don't know, like you have a basal, which is basically the insulin that you use all day long. So very small measurements. And then there's a bolus that you take before you eat. So my basals, I've been able to drop down, like a small percentage on the basals, but I've been able to drop down since I'm not basically overeating anymore, or overcarbing, I would say. But the big thing is just the bolus, and what I need to take for each meal is just significantly less. Obviously, if you're eating 70 carbs per meal, you're going to take 10 units, maybe 10 units of insulin. Where if you're eating 10 carb unit, then you're taking one unit of insulin. So you go from 1 to 10, and then you don't have to do a correction later because you didn't eat very many carbs, so you didn't have a big spike, and you didn't have to do a correction, and then you didn't have to eat 6 candy bars right out and 2 hours later because you did a correction, and then you went low, and then it's just there's t-shirts out there that show like this vicious cycle of eating, or like taking your insulin, going low, eating everything in your kitchen to get back in, and then taking more insulin. It's just a vicious cycle that I know a lot of people get into, because part of all this looking, at how it can be better and stuff. You look at statistics, and I was just talking to Greg, the other day, and it's like only 20% of the people that are type 1 diabetics have a A1C of less than 7%. And then for kids, like it's 7.5% was the goal. I think they're changing that down to 7% now. But even with that, like it's even less. It's like 15 to 18% of kids are able to have a A1C of less than 7.5%, which to me is not, they say that's under control, but it's not really under control. It's basically chaotic control. Sometimes I just think it just makes people feel better, to say that you're under control at 7% when that's not when I was always running 6.8, I never felt like, hey, I have this, by the balls. It's always, I always felt like I was out of control, and I just happened to be under what they say is good. And the doctors would say, you're doing great. You're under 7%, which I don't think under 7% it should be the goal anymore. Again, my opinion, but I have 33 years of experience, so I think I got a pretty good opinion, pretty good data and experience to talk about this. So
Yeah.
Not to change subjects, but we do have a question. Has anyone tried iodine? And it looks like, Kim, I know you answered that you do. Brian, do you take iodine at all?
Sorry. Actually, no, I do not. So yeah, I don't. I guess I should have my levels checked though to make sure that I'm good. But I haven't been taking iodine.
I think it was Dr. Barry was talking about that,
Mhm.
if I remember right. And really everyone can run low on iodine, if I remember right.
Yeah.
They say it's not a bad thing to take because I don't know if it has to do with the cells and the testing, but you can always run low on iodine and not really know it because it pulls it from other parts of the body. Am I correct on that? Seems like I'm pretty sure it was iodine. I remember seeing something about that.
So literally every cell in your body uses iodine. Especially if you don't live, I mean, I'm not recommending for anybody to take it, but if you don't live near the ocean, which I don't, I'm in Kentucky, it's pretty far from the ocean. I'm not getting a lot naturally, most likely. So I just I trust Dr. Barry, maybe to a fault. But if Dr. Barry's ship's going down, I'll probably sink too. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I've read up on it too, and I felt comfortable doing it myself. I don't feel comfortable telling other people to do it, and there are a lot of people in the medical community. They're like, what, but Dr. Berry says that they're thinking of the radioactive iodine. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on iodine by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that you need it for every part of your body to function. And you can also get it from, shrimp and seafood and stuff like that. So there have been times when I've just tried to up my intake of seafood. But yeah, I definitely won't recommend for anybody to take that.
Brad, I'm assuming you don't take iodine, do you?
No.
If anybody's got any questions, go ahead and throw them out there. Brian, did you have any questions of Brad at all? Or Kim, did you have any more for Brad?
Let me answer that real quick. I take it because I have a lot of symptoms of hypothyroidism, and I just am kind of doing, I run little tests on my body all the time, and this is just one of the tests that I'm running to see if it helps my hypothyroidism symptoms. I don't test positive for hypothyroidism. I don't. They say, oh, your numbers are all normal, but I have, symptom after symptom after symptom of hypothyroidism, including the loss of the last third of my eyebrows. They're kind of filling in a little bit more now. I don't know if you can tell, but I had an appointment with a doctor over Zoom, and it was my doctor for ADHD, and this was probably about 6 months ago, maybe a little more. Anyway, he told me he could tell from looking at me on video that I was thin out here. I feel like they're thinning, or they're filling out a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe just my wishful thinking. But what was the question you asked?
Oh, if we had any questions for Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
So
we don't have any seafood in Iowa. That's for sure. Frozen.
I was going to ask Brad a
you know what's
question.
like let me say real quick, he was talking about the seafood in Iowa. Where I live, like in the summertime, they come around like the corners, like the corners of different intersections and so forth, and they sell like the blue crabs and stuff. So that's a nice thing with living in Virginia, I guess.
Instead of an ice cream truck, it's a seafood truck, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have much of that. I get my seafood from Kroger, and I don't know how fresh that is, but so I was going to ask him, do you have any like peripheral neuropathy, Brad?
No, I actually just had my eye appointment, and my eyes are actually very healthy. So
No, I mean like in your extremities, like any
oh,
tingling or
neuropathy. No, I do not. No, thank God, thankfully. But
yeah.
no, I do have a Dupuytren's contracture, so my fingers they don't work too well. It's a hereditary thing. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so I have that. My dad had it. My brother had it. I've had surgery on one hand, and it didn't go so well. So, yeah, my hands are kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess I mean the things I have had due to, which I'm pretty sure is due to being type 1 diabetic, is I had frozen shoulder in both shoulders at different times. So I had to go through a little physical therapy on my shoulders. But actually, I went through a lot of physical therapy the first time I got it, and then I talked to the second time I got there, like, well, we don't do that anymore. Like, we just kind of let it take care of itself, and that actually worked better than just letting it take care of itself than doing the physical therapy. Yep.
Once again, I just wanted to plug Nurse Kim's channel. There, you can find it right there. Make sure you go over there, check out her channel, give her a sub, and watch her videos. She's got some great videos out. Recently, she was at an event. What was the event again? It was at Keto Palooza.
Keto Palooza, yeah.
Yep.
Nicole and I went and met each other there.
Yeah,
we had fun. Yeah.
Yep, I think
I
watched
finally
videos on that.
I finally met my internet bestie in real life, and she's exactly. If you follow Nicole, former fat girl, she's exactly like she is online in person. So it's kind of funny because you feel like you know somebody, but then you see them face to face, and you're like, oh shit, I don't really know this person. Excuse my language, sorry.
That's okay.
But you're like, well, I don't really know her, do I? And then within 15 minutes, we're just, chatting it up just like we do online.
Yeah, that's cool. They had some doctors there speaking too, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. Tony Hampton, Dr. Barry. I finally got to meet Dr. Barry in person. That was like, he's my hero. Him and Nisha both. I wanted to meet Nisha. She wasn't there, but I mean, she has the little kids and stuff, so I get it. But I told Dr. Barry, he probably thought I was a weirdo because I was like, Dr. Barry, Well, I don't get starstruck. My dad was a songwriter and a singer and always in bands and stuff. And like, I've met so many, like, just country music stars. And I mean, I've met a lot of famous people, and I'm just like, man, okay. But Dr. Barry, I'm just all like, oh. But I told him, I said, the only person I wanted to meet more than you is Nisha. So tell her that I really missed her. I miss not getting to meet her. But
Brian,
yeah, it was fun.
Give a quick game update.
Well, the Saints looks like they have a 4th down at the Jacksonville 23-24 yard line, so they're probably going to be attempting a field goal here. 10.5 minutes to go, third quarter. Still 17-6, Jacksonville.
So, Brad, how far behind are you?
I don't know.
Like, it's 4th out.
The game's like way behind me, so I can't even see it anymore.
Looks like we do have a question from Becky here. It looks like probably Brad. What are your favorite low carb meal or snack options that help you manage your blood sugar effectively?
So, okay, yeah, it's good. I eat a lot of almonds. It's like when I have a craving to snack on something, I always have a bag of almonds at work with me. And then also, one of the things I always do is have cheese and like sausage cut up and in the fridge. So if I want a snack, I'll just grab some cheese. And then also we get the low carb cookies that are like made with almond flour. They're real small, but it's enough to, you just eat one. It's enough to kill that craving. So, but a lot of, and then I eat mixed nuts, so a lot of nuts and a lot of cheese and sauce, like sausage or beef jerky.
And the Saints made their field goal, so it's 17-9 now. Just under 10 minutes to go, third quarter.
It's pretty decent game, I guess. Let's see here. Once again, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and fire away. We'll answer them for you as best we can.
Somebody just posted. So you just had a posting up there about eating sardines. Those are you guys ever eat sardines? Like my dad always ate sardines, so I grew up eating. I'd eat sardines, and I don't eat them very often, but I'll still eat them. But you guys eat sardines?
I love them.
I've never tried them ever.
You gotta try them.
I don't think I ever will.
Listen, I can tell you the good kind to try and everything. I got the brand; it's the best kind. But I've been eating them my whole life. Like my dad, he fed me sardines and eggs when I was a little baby. When it was his turn to watch me while my mom was at work on Saturdays, he would feed me sardines and eggs, and he's always eating them, and I love them. My cat, I have this low carb cat that's trying to get some attention here.
I was wondering what that looked like. Somebody's hair.
It's my cat that's lost a ton of weight. Oh goodness, I just dropped my notebook.
Looks like Gail has a message.
So
there.
Brian, have you ever eaten sardines?
I've had them a few times. I don't eat them very often because I had cooked them in I guess it was just in some butter, I guess, that I cooked them in. But my wife did not like the smell, so she really doesn't want me to do that. So I haven't had them very often, but they tasted fine.
So on the carnivore diet, you can eat sardines, can you?
Yeah.
So I think next Thursday, like Greg ought to try sardines live on the air.
I think the only thing I'd get was when it doesn't have the skin or the bones in it. I think they sell those that way.
Yeah, that's actually the kind I eat. I mean, I don't dislike the bones and the skin, but the kind that I got from Costco, and you can get at Walmart also, they don't have the bones and the skin, and I just really fell in love with them. They just taste so good that I just kept eating those.
So there you go, Greg.
Yeah, the ones with the bones are better for you.
You got 3 people that have had sardines and they all enjoy them. So there's no reason you can't do a sardine challenge next Thursday.
That's right.
And I'll say I did have.
Every time somebody kicks a field goal or scores a touchdown, you got to eat one.
Oh, there you go. I did have the ones with the bones and the skin in on my mind. So
yeah. They're good. I mean, I wish I could get the kind that I eat now that I like so well. They're in olive oil. And I mean, they're just so good. But I wish I could find those with the bone in at least. Like, I don't really care about the skin, but the bone is really good for you, calcium wise. But I haven't been able to find that particular brand. So,
as a carnivore, you could use pork rinds to eat too. I know Becky says sardine, or let's see here, Ritz crackers. Yep, with sardines.
Yeah, I always irritate the people at work with the smell of them. the charge nurse usually a couple days a week, and so I'll always bring them up there. I'm like, I need my afternoon snack, and they're like, oh God, don't eat that up here. And I'm like, what? It smells great. What are y'all talking about?
So the only thing that I saw Simpson had said that she tried the 3-day sardine challenge with Dr. Paz's. That kind of worries me though. Just eating sardines 3 straight days. I
I
don't know
did
that I could
that.
do that. How
I
did
did
it
it.
go?
Well, it was amazing, honestly. My brain was like, woo. Those omega-3s, I firmly believe that this is what helped me get off Adderall. I have ADHD. I was diagnosed as an adult after my 16-year-old was diagnosed. And so I'd been on Adderall like off and on for and the different ones, I'd tried Adderall, I had tried let's see, Ritalin, just I didn't like how they made me feel. And but the sardines, they just lit my brain up. I mean, they just made me feel like I was just like on and focused. And so anyway, I just weaned myself off of it after that. And I mean, I attribute it to that, but it may be a stretch, but it was definitely carnivore. I think it was carnivore mixed with the heavy use of sardines for 3 days. And then continuing, I would eat them like once a day. I love them.
Greg, I think you're muted
Greg,
if you're
you're
talking.
muted, Greg.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I just read the question, so.
Can you read it again, please?
Yeah, anyone drop a nicely cooked New York strip on the floor and then eat it because it was the only thing they had to eat for the day?
Oh.
So
I have not done that.
I did drop a steak once. I was actually visiting my parents, and I was cooking a lot of steaks for several people, and they lived behind a church. And I dropped one of the steaks on the ground, and I might have said some obscenities, and because we had just enough steaks, like one for each person, and so I, picked it up real quick, threw it on the grill, and I just kept track of which one that was. So I ate that. I ate that one myself, but there's a church behind their house, and the house that the pastor stayed in was right there, and they were actually, I didn't realize it, but they were outside in their yard when I dropped the steak and yelled a lot of obscenities. So then I'm like, oh, oops, like.
They probably would have cussed too if they would have dropped
Sure.
that
So,
steak.
yeah,
I probably would just wipe it off real good,
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I
even
did.
rinse it,
wiped it
and then
off
throw it on that grill. It'll kill
Yep.
anything.
And it was, I think I was taking it off the grill. I was taking it off the grill because the steaks are done, and then I dropped it. So I just wiped it off and threw it back on the grill for a little bit to burn whatever I picked up off the ground off of it. And then, like I said, I kept track to make sure I ate that one. So if I chipped a tooth, it was my own fault.
Well, that was taking one for the team right there.
Oh, we have another question from Becky. What advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed with diabetes who's considering a low carb diet?
So it's a good question. So I'll show you, like, as I grab this. So I read this book recently. So I don't have a channel, but this book here, Doing Diabetes Differently, I think anybody could read that book. And it tells a lot about low carb diet and diabetes. And then the book I'm reading now, which is very thick, but it's a highly talked about book that I didn't know existed until recently, is Dr. Bernstein's Diabetes Solution. And he's big on, this is the doctor that is a type 1 diabetic and he's in his 80s, and he has been since he was 12 years old. So so I would say read those, definitely read this first book, and then you can learn a lot on YouTube. So watch a lot of videos, and obviously work with your healthcare provider, because I'm not the guy that can tell you what to do or tell somebody what to do. I can just say what I've done that's worked for me. So, but it's definitely, I would. The thing about the first book I showed you, the small one, it has a whole list of questions that you should ask your provider, your doctor, and so it's like very good book for like when you go to your appointments. These are the questions that you can ask, and so I think having that and asking those questions will help you talk to the doctor and help you decide whether you have the right doctor. Because I think there's a lot of wrong doctors out there that will just want you to be at a 7% A1C, tell you you can eat whatever you want and just cover it with insulin. So,
And those are probably the doctors that made C's on their tests, but they're still doctors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's evident, and I don't know like how much a nurse gets on nutrition, but it sounds like doctors get very little.
Yeah, we all get very
on
little,
nutrition.
honestly.
Yeah, very little on nutrition. So it's just following a guideline. My first doctor I had for quite a while, and I liked him. I thought he was a good doctor, but he was just he said that he got basically audited on how many diabetics he had that were at 7% or less, and that's kind of all the goal that he had to hit. And again, like when I first started out 30 some years ago, it wasn't about carbs. It was they just talked to you about you need to eat this many breads or this many starches and this many vegetables and don't eat dessert ever. And that was how it started off at first. Well, then it got to a point where, you can count carbs now. And that's when they started talking about you can eat whatever you want, just cover it with insulin. Well, wasn't very good advice either. It's kind of like we went through the whole phase where eating eggs are bad for you, and now eating eggs are good for you. It's like so many different people and who's paying who to say what. And like I said, I said it before on a previous Thursday night special with these guys I was on, is I've learned more on YouTube and listening to people talk. That's why I don't actually post videos. I don't do the things you guys do, but I just got on because I can sign up. I can leave comments and I can talk about, things that I want to do and give more likes. So I've watched a lot of videos over the last 10 months and learned a lot more in the last 10 months than I had in the last 33 years.
I mean, honestly, I've learned more on YouTube as far as actually controlling diabetes well and actually, getting myself or somebody else where they're, if they're type 2, where they're not, where you cannot detect it on a lab test anymore. Let's say that. And, it's just amazing. Like, they don't really teach that in school when I was in nursing school. What they would tell you is, some people control their diabetes so well with diet that they become like they have normal labs again, but they're still diabetic. It's that kind of thing. It's never even thought of as an option that some people may just eat that way forever and not ever get their diabetes symptoms and blood work to be that way again, And then they'll also kind of lead us to, I don't know that they came out and told us this. I mean, it's been 23 years ago, but, pretty much most nurses that I worked with in the past, they would always think that, oh yeah, if it's their birthday, just give them a piece of cake and we'll just give them extra insulin,
Mm-hmm.
It's just not good.
I have another
and that's mainly type 2 because we deal with almost no type 1. Like, very, very, very rarely do I ever have a type 1 patient. And the most important lesson I've learned from a type 1 is you better make sure that you're controlling their blood glucose while they're back in surgery, because if not, someone will come out with sugars, in the 600s, and they've had a long surgery and they've been without insulin the entire time. That's just not okay, but I've seen it happen.
Brian, do you want to give us a quick game update? I know there was a score.
Yeah, so tipped pass intercepted by Jacksonville in return for a touchdown. So a pick six. Extra point was good. It's now 24-9 Jacksonville in the third quarter.
And it looks like we have another question. Is there a typical low carb food you have to avoid because it causes blood sugar issues?
I haven't found one yet, so not that I can think of. Usually the low carb stuff is low carb and it doesn't spike my blood sugar. So yeah, not that I can think of. It's
My guess is it probably had sugar in it. If something does spike it, there's something you were unaware of. Maybe would that be. I suppose like if people make homemade desserts and you maybe try them and don't realize how much is in there. I don't know if you really.
Yeah, but if there's somebody's making a dessert, it's not low carb. So
yeah, makes sense. That's a good question, though, Becky.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to head out of here, but it's been fun, and I appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
and
it was.
I'll see you around, I guess.
Yeah, we're
Thanks,
glad
Kim.
you could join us, and I just want to give Nurse Kim's plug again for her channel. And like I said, go check her out, give her a sub, and help her grow her channel. She's got a lot of great knowledge, and we appreciate you coming on tonight. And thank you for being here, and look forward to doing stuff down the road with you. That'd be great.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. And nice to meet everybody, and y'all have a good night.
Take care. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kim.
Bye, Kim.
Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye. All right, I was just going to put this up. Becky's thanking Kim, and Gail had a comment here too. There's a CIRS group podcast. It's really fascinating. And she also mentioned too that there's a ADHD video yesterday. Also. Well, this game's kind of, I don't know. I thought it'd be a little closer, but at the same time, there's still a lot of time left. So,
yeah, I mean, it's really just two scores, 24-9. Jacksonville's on top with 5:20 to go third quarter. And the Saints are just across midfield. They're at the Jacksonville 40-yard line. So, Jacksonville seems to be in control, but a quick touchdown here, and the Saints are right back in it.
So, Brad, what do you think about the Vikings the rest of the year? What do you think's going to happen with them?
I think they're going to look up at Detroit all year long, which will make Brian happy, right?
I'm still shocked that we're talking this way about Detroit.
So I feel like they'll end up being a 500 team. It'll be interesting to see. Everybody keeps talking about trading Kirk Cousins, but he has a no trade clause and he doesn't want to move out of the area. So I think that's just all the sportscasters trying to get clicks on their news articles bringing up Kirk Cousins, because I think Kirk's been playing well. I think it's just obviously the defense is learning, getting a little better, but not great. And then there's just been so many turnovers. And the offensive line sucks. So Kirk's running for his life half the time. The offensive line is just not good. The defensive line is not that good.
He's definitely a top 10 quarterback this year in the league. I'm with you. I mean, he needs more time, and I don't. The trade deadline I heard is just 2 weeks away, so they're still in the hunt. So I just don't see him unless they get a first round pick for him or something. I just don't see him going anywhere. Would be my guess.
Well, I mean, after I watched the quarterback Netflix series, and Kirk Cousins was the main guy, or one of the main guys is Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes and the old Atlanta quarterback that left the team. But anyways, Kirk is pretty locked into that Minnesota area, and I think his family is pretty locked into the Minnesota area. So I don't think he really has a lot of interest in up and everything and getting and leaving. So
yeah, I don't think so either. I see Gail says if anyone wants to do a Saturday night in Canada hockey live stream, that she'd be there. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up talking a little hockey over the winter. It's very well possible because I know once football season's done, me and Brian are going to probably be doing some other things. And I know I like hockey, so you never know,
Yes.
I guess.
Speaking of that, how is the Wild doing?
Are they playing tonight? I guess I haven't looked, but they played pretty good the other night, but the team they were playing wasn't very good. I think it was the Canadians, wasn't it?
Yeah, they played the Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing LA Kings right now.
I see that
They're getting beat 4-2.
Who's leading?
The Kings are ahead 4-2 over the Wild. 9:59 in the third.
So I'm just gonna say it's very early in the season, but the Detroit Red Wings are 3-1 right now.
They looked good last night.
I know DeBrincat is really looking good, eh? For the Red Wings. I mean,
me and Brad have another mutual friend that follows the Red Wings, so we kind of give each other a hard time back and forth during the season. So,
yeah, he's probably our friend that likes the Red Wings is probably feeling a lot like you are right now, Brian, with the Detroit Lions, like seeing the teams actually winning.
It's just so weird. We're not used to it in our lifetimes. Like it's never happened. So the Saints are moving down the field. Looks like there's an injury timeout here, but they're in. I think they might be in the red zone or close to it.
Yeah, I think so. It looked like it.
A minute from now, I'll be able to go walk to my TV and I'll see exactly what you're seeing right now. So.
Well, give it a few minutes because they just went to commercial break. So.
Yeah, we aren't going to let you go yet.
Are you guys watching it on Amazon or what are you watching it on?
Yeah. Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I got it on my laptop over here on Prime. My second laptop that I got over here. So I got two laptops in here. One that
my internet must be faster than yours because I'm on Hulu. I guess it'd be Amazon Prime. Sorry.
Yeah. Habs are where old sharks go to retire. Yeah. They made a little run a couple years ago.
Yep, they did. If anybody has any more questions, fire away. Brad will be with us a few more minutes, but yeah.
So I have a question for you, Brad. So you're low carb, so you don't really consider yourself keto, just like under 50 grams of carbs. So what would a typical day be like for you eating wise?
So my morning starts out, I'm usually eating eggs now. So eggs or sausage or every weekend I make omelets on both days. So breakfast is usually eggs. I used to be a cereal guy all the time. So I used to eat cereal. That was my breakfast thing before. So I've obviously switch to eggs for breakfast. At lunchtime, I'll eat salads or I'll eat leftovers from whatever meal we had the night before. So that's generally low carb or lower carb meal over lunch. I eat a lot of salads, or probably a couple times a week. I'm eating salads for lunch, and then the other 3 times I'm eating leftovers from the meal before the night before. And then for dinner, I'm eating like I showed you guys the list of low carb recipes that my wife put together. So like tonight we had like an enchilada where there are only like 17 carbs for the whole thing. And so like our meal tonight was basically 17 carbs. The night before, just as an example, we did Big Macs in a bowl. So that's basically just all the ingredients you would have on a Big Mac, except obviously no buns or anything. It's more like a salad, but just a lot of hamburger, and then pickles and lettuce and cheese, and then Trish would make the sauce up, and so the sauce was actually the carbs of the whole thing. When I think it was only like 4 or 5, because I think I know when we did the Big Mac in a bowl, and she also made like a dessert it's like sugar-free Jello with whipped cream, or heavy whipped cream, and which that dessert was 0 carbs. So it's like we had all this meal, and I had cheese and some sausage on the side too, and like the whole plate full of food and a dessert, and it was 5 carbs. So just a matter of managing what you do. And then like I like to eat steak too, and we will have hot dogs or brats or whatever. We don't eat the bun, or we do like egg life lasagna every once in a while, or use the egg life for just as pasta. So it's yeah, like I said, you usually probably do 50 carbs a day or so in that range, all in. But I think going to eggs for breakfast, I think that just starting out the day right makes a huge difference. Where when I was eating cereal before, that would just start my day on the roller coaster right off the bat. So
Gail has a question. Any good discussion points for overweight, type 2 diabetes, 64-year-old who trusts his vegetarian doc's advice and vaxes to the maxes?
I'm not into the vegetarian thing, so I like it. All depends on if that's sort of their choice. It's all depends. Like every person has their own plan, but I don't know if the vegetarian thing is sustainable. Really, I mean, there's just I would look at just more of a balanced meat with vegetables, and just stay away from. I always say stay away from all the white things, so breads and potatoes and rice and like those are the things that are basically just sugar in disguise. So stay away from those things. Might want to if you might want to talk to a doc that's not a vegetarian. Just get. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to talk to several different doctors. Reese's and muffins. That's not going to work.
Gail's saying either he's into Reese's and muffins.
So you can, but you can make muffins with almond flour, and you can we do chaffles a lot. So my wife, I shouldn't say my wife makes chaffles and I eat the chaffles, but but those are very low carb. She makes like a cinnamon chaffle that I like. It's almost like a French toast type of chaffle, and I just love it. I think that's one of my favorite foods now is the cinnamon chaffles that she makes, and it's basically eggs and cheese and just made on a regular waffle iron, and then we have sausage or bacon with it when we cook that usually. So, and again, that's have that whole meal, and it might only be 5 carbs. The actual carbs is actually the sugar-free syrup. So.
So another question for you, Brad. So with being a type 1 diabetic, do you need to make sure that you eat several times during the day to keep that blood sugar in control, or is that kind of just like a myth?
So basically, like my baseline blood sugar is just controlled with basal. So my insulin pump gives me like 0.8 units of insulin every hour. So it's just I can change that throughout the day because I actually have it give me less at night than I do during the day. So that just maintains like a level blood sugar. And then you do a carb calculation, and that's a basal, basically inject pump that feeds your basal insulin to you, that covers your meals. So I could easily do the one meal a day or do fasting, just like anybody else, as long as I just had the correct basal set and manage and eat like anybody else, which is different than it used to be years ago. Because years ago, I would take a long lasting insulin in the morning, and that was kind of supposed to be like the basal, but that would just kind of have a curve throughout the day, to kind of manage your day to day, and then I had to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper like almost on perfect time every day. Like when I first had this, it was like I have to eat at breakfast at 7 o'clock every morning, lunch at 12, and supper at 6, just because the way the The long-term insulin worked with the short-term meal insulin. You had to time. It was all a lot about timing. But now with the insulin pump, you don't have to worry about that as much, or even at all. So you could fast if you wanted to.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
So I think Greg had to step away for a second, but he's got a new question up on the window here. Anyone try kefir? I think that's kefir. Pros, cons. I can't do regular dairy, so that's I believe that's kind of like a yogurt type. This kefir. I haven't tried it. Have you tried it?
No, no,
No.
I have not. I haven't even heard of it until I just read it there. So
Yeah, I had to look it up because I wasn't exactly sure what it was myself. So Greg had used, so we're into the question here about the kefir, I guess it's called. Have you tried that?
I'm not sure what that even is.
So I looked it up. It's like a thin yogurt type. It's a type of dairy. So she said she can't do regular dairy. So um, I guess that's why she's asking about that. But yeah, I don't have any experience with it.
Mm-mm. Sorry. I see the Saints almost scored, but they got denied here. They're still playing
Yeah,
though.
I think it's 4th down now. Yeah, 4th and goal at the 1. See what they do here.
Tyson Hill.
No, he scored touchdown. See, I told you that. See, now they're right back in the game. It's going to be a one-score game.
It wasn't over by any means.
Oh, here we go. Gail says it's supposed to be anti-inflammatory. Kefir. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Kefir? Like Kiefer Sutherland? I don't know.
Here we go. Supposedly the bacteria eats the lactose. So you may be able to handle it, Gail.
one thing I'll say is like we don't drink milk almost anymore. Like we don't even buy milk anymore. We'll buy almond milk or like the cream or whatever, the no carb whipping cream. But we very, very rarely buy milk.
Yeah, the only time we buy milk now is if the kids are coming home for the weekend because they still drink it or whatever. But usually we end up dumping it out. We got to start buying just pints because it gets dumped out.
And I don't drink any types of milk at all, almond milk or any of that. I just drink water. I know I'm boring. Just drink
that's one thing
water here.
I don't know how you guys drink just plain water. Like I tried doing just drinking water. Like I got to have some flavoring. I don't know what you guys are. I guess that's my question. Like, what are you guys doing or you just get used to drinking plain water?
Yeah, I think you get used to it. I do occasionally have like a bubbly or something, that for that little bit of sparklingness in your throat. But typically, yeah, I just drink plain water, and I guess I just got used to it. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you the last time I had any soda, well, you guys are in the Midwest, so pop.
Yeah.
You can say pop too. So I'm from Ohio. All right. I lived in Ohio and then Michigan. So I always known it as pop. And then I moved out to Virginia and it was soda. So I got used to saying soda. And it's funny because I go to Atlanta sometimes, and when you go to Atlanta, it's Coke.
Yeah, everything's Coke in Atlanta. Yeah.
So you order it is so like before I was carnivore and I was drinking that, right? I'd be like, okay, I'll have a Coke. And they're like, okay, what kind? I'm like, a Coke? No, what kind of Coke?
Right.
What do you mean? And so then it turns out Coke actually just means soda. And then you have to tell them which kind of Coke or which kind of soda you actually want. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so confusing. So the different areas of the country, no matter where you live, it's like so different.
I was going to say, I must confess, I don't drink just water. I do drink water, and I also put some keto chow in it, the electrolyte drops. Once in a while, I will drink the sugar-free Propel Propel that you can put in packets in your cup. I do have that, and I do have an occasional Diet Pepsi. I'll say this. I mean, I still lost the weight. I try to back off of it though, because I find if I drink too much Diet Pepsi, mentally I don't feel as good. So I try not to drink that much. It's kind of weird, but sometimes I just like that fizz or the little bit of that sweet taste. Even though I know it's not healthy for me, I still drink it on occasion. Yeah, I don't know. I know when I was on keto, I would eat almonds quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it just depends on if you're affected by like the oxalates or not.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes nuts are not real good for people. It affects them differently.
Yeah, I used to just from eating peanut butter, I would get joint pain. And even like when I first started doing like keto or even carnivore, I experimented a little bit and I'd be feeling good. And then I have a little bit of peanut butter. And a few hours later or later that evening, I noticed that like my wrist started hurting.
It is.
Yeah.
I was in almond land a couple months ago. It's amazing how many almond trees are like around the Sacramento area. That's where I was, around the Sacramento area. And it's just almond farms out there, like the cornfields here in Iowa.
Interesting. Well, it's still 24-16, 12:05 left in the fourth quarter. Did the Saints miss an extra point there? Do you know?
No, they got the extra point because
They
it was
did get it.
24-9.
Okay.
And it's fourth down, so Jacksonville has to punt back to the Saints. So, like I said, they're right in it.
Yep.
It's it's 8 points, so if they get a touchdown, they'll have to go for 2. But there's still just under 12 minutes to go. There's plenty of time in this game.
Peanut butter works great for catching mice, don't it? Especially in Iowa. Yep, goes the wrist for Gale too. If anybody's got any questions, go ahead and fire them out there. We'll try to answer them for you. Brian, I was going to ask you. I know you're gonna do a little traveling coming up. You got some weekend plans, and this weekend and this next week.
Yeah, so this weekend I'm going down to Myrtle Beach to visit my daughter, my youngest daughter, that's in college down there. And next weekend is actually Parents' Weekend, so we're going this weekend, and we're going to stay there for the week. So we're going to stay down at the ocean front for the week, and yeah, it's going to be hopefully a fun time. I don't know that it's going to be that warm because of the time of year that we're at, but still, get the chance to get out there and walk on the beach, and the seafood down there is great. They have like the Carolina calabash style seafood and stuff. I'm not necessarily huge on that, but they have like the granted they're kind of expensive, but they have like the buffets where they have crab legs and shrimp, and they usually have some kind of steak there and stuff that's at the buffets. So it's always nice to do that at least once when you're down there, right? Especially, if you're carnivore, you can't go wrong with a buffet that has like steak and seafood, right?
Right.
But it'll be a fun time, haven't seen my daughter here in a while now since she started school up. So it'd be good to go down there and see her again and so forth.
Yeah, no, that'll be cool. I know I'm going to do a little trout fishing on Saturday. I'm going to go to Decorah with my son, which is in northeast Iowa. They have a lot of trout streams. It's been a couple years since I've been, so we're going to go over there. I think he went with a buddy this spring, but we're going to go over there and see if we can catch some trout. Looking forward to that. My daughter and her boyfriend are coming home for the weekend too from Omaha, so that should be fun too. It should be a good weekend though. And of course, football's on, so you can't complain there. It's always a good time. So,
Mm-hmm.
how about you, Brad? You got anything going on this weekend?
I have nothing as exciting as you guys have going on. I'm going to go to the landfill and but nope, I'll be finishing up some stuff in our kitchen remodel and catching up on some yard work but nothing major planned other than watching sports too. So
Yeah.
But guys, I think it's time for me to head out.
I was just gonna say, I know if you wanted to head out, you sure can, and we appreciate you coming on tonight, Brad, and telling us your story and all the success you've had with doing a low carb diet and being a type 1, and that's kind of that should be a blueprint for a lot of people, to be honest. They're going to have some success with managing their diabetes, let alone their weight and everything, all the other health benefits.
You don't have to be type 1 diabetic to follow a low carb plan. It's like probably the right thing to do, whether you're diabetic or not. So.
Yep, I agree. So
So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. And I'll just say, Brian, I do cheer for the Lions when they're not playing the Vikings. So I hope they continue to do well.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for being on tonight, Brad.
Yep, we'll see you.
Thanks, Brad.
Well, the Saints got the ball. I'm not sure what's happening here, though. Trying to figure out what down it is. Oh, they're punting. It's fourth down.
Wow. There's still 10:30.
10 and a half minutes left, yeah.
For a second there, I thought it was a fake the way he was taking off to the right, because usually that's how they kick it in college.
Oh, look at that punt. Yeah.
Well, this ended up being a little better game than we thought it was going to be. I know that. I'm glad it's close, because some of the Thursday night games have just been snoozers, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Brian, what videos and things do you have going on? I know you're going on vacation. Do you have anything? Are you planning to make any videos oceanside or doing anything fun like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably do something. I don't know what yet. I guess I got to figure out what I'm going to do.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here and hanging out with us during the football game.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll do something about, grounding and stuff and being at the beach and that kind of stuff. But I'll probably do something else, like with what I'm eating for the week or something, that kind of thing. And then I know we're having their Thursday Night Live again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be joining from our Airbnb. So hopefully the internet connection is good. Otherwise, I might be dropping in and out throughout the show, but
I'll be going solo. That's funny.
Yeah.
I just want to put this up here. If anybody's watching is interested in being in the show, go ahead and send us an email there. We'll put you up for consideration to get you on. And let's see here. What's a vacation? Gail hasn't had a vacation in a while, I take it.
Yeah, look at her next. Had one in 2019 for 4 days.
Yeah.
So it's funny because originally I was thinking like, okay, we're gonna go down there. I can still work, from the room, whatever, during the day or something, because I can work remotely. So I was thinking like I could still work during the day and do whatever in the evening. Then I was like, I do that enough times. Like I should just take the vacation time. So I took the entire week off. So it'll be nice.
Yeah, I haven't been on vacation. I've been on a permanent vacation for the last 12, 13 months. But no, we'll probably sneak down to Omaha for a couple days. I'm guessing November here to visit my daughters. And the weather's a little nicer in Omaha compared to Mason City. Surprisingly, it's about 4 hours away, but when it's that much further south, the weather, they get, it's like fall comes later and spring is sooner, so they have a shorter winter. So we like to go and I don't know, they've got a lot of restaurants and stuff to go to in Omaha. It's you can pick it. I mean, there's just so many. It's just kind of fun to go there, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially when you live in a small town, Iowa, there's just not a lot of options sometimes. So Gail's on her first live stream this morning. How'd that go? So your husband's family throws things and yells during games, of course. That's his college football, Nebraska Cornhuskers. You two are very calm. Yeah, me and Brian we're pretty we're cool as cucumbers, I think, for the most part. We don't get too worked up. I mean, I used to, but as I've gotten older and wiser, I just kind of, I don't know, I don't let it mean so much to me anymore. And I keep telling myself it's just a game. And granted, when my favorite team's playing, yeah, I can get a little worked up, but I try to stay pretty calm. It's just better for the heart.
So when I read that, I'm like thinking of like the commercials where they see the guy like throwing something at the TV or throwing the TV out the window and it breaks.
Yeah. Nebraska had a rough few years too. I can see why they'd be angry.
Yeah. It's been tough. Like really ever since they fired Frank Solich. Remember that? You remember that whole thing? Like they fired him because they only won like 9 games.
They're like 8-3 or 9-3, and they fired him. And I was like, wow.
And that was like the jinx. Like ever since then, they've never been the same.
They should have never fired him. That was a mistake. They've never recovered from it.
Yeah.
So Gail had fun on the live stream. That's awesome. Yeah, they're fun to do once you get used to doing them. At first you're kind of nervous, but once you do a few of them, it's not that bad to do. I enjoy them. Any live stream with Nicole was fun.
Wait, Jacksonville just went for it on 4th down and 1 at like I think the 45-yard line or something, and they didn't get it. Oh, like the 45-yard line at the Saints 45-yard line. They didn't get it, so the Saints got the ball at the 45-yard line.
Interesting.
Gail was thinking 8-point lead with 7.5 minutes to go, and they went for it on 4th and 1 instead of pinning them deep with a punt.
Yeah. See, this is Brian getting fired up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like screaming over here.
Gail, I'm trying to think. Were you on that live stream this afternoon with Nicole and Kim then? I'm trying to think. I know I was tuned in there, but I guess I didn't know who was all on it because there was like 5 or 6 people on there, I think. I bet maybe you were on that one.
Yeah, I was working, so I missed it.
I just happened to be on YouTube, and then I seen the live, so I thought I'll go over and see what's going on. And it was Nicole and Kim, and Carnivore Trucker was on there. And then, yeah. That was you. Okay, were you? I'm trying to think. I guess your screen layout may have been different. Were you on the left on the bottom then, or the right? Yeah. So you were on there then. Okay. Okay, yep. You're the one that you had the older computer you were using. Okay. It's hard to tell from the little thumbnail what you look like. So that's why I guess I was questioning where you were at on that. And I don't think I remember seeing the name on the screen. So that's why I'll have to make sure. You'll have to type in your handle in the comments, and I'll go over and check on your channel and take a look at it and give you a sub.
Oh, I see the
Okay,
video.
yep.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it.
Yep. Yep, definitely. Yeah, I'll go check out your channel after the live here or the next day, and I'll give you a sub. Check out your channel. I'm glad you're joining us. I know you've been on for a couple weeks now, at least, maybe longer. So definitely. If anybody's got any questions, go ahead and fire away. I just wanted to show Brian does have a store for, actually he's got a link for several different things, and there's his link for that, his link tree. It'll take you to all the different things he's got going on, but he sells, he has the t-shirts, he has the other products. Do you want to mention the products that you also sell that you recently had me sign up for as well?
Oh, I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I started taking these things. Well, they're made by Cerule, and there's 3 of them actually. I got the bottles here
Oh,
because
nice. Yeah. Let's see what you got. I'll learn from you.
So I started taking these like several months back. This is the Stem Enhance Ultra, which helps to um, it helps to so your body renews your stem cells, your adult stem cells every so often. As you get older, it slows down that process, and this helps to speed that process back up like when you were younger. And then there's like the plasma flow, which is like a good for circulation support, stuff like that. And there's Cyactive. There's a couple different Cyactives. There's an inflammation support and a joint support one. So this is the inflammation support one, which just helps with like overall body inflammation. And then the joint one specifically like targets more like in your joints and that the inflammation. So I started taking those several months ago. And Professor Bart K is the one that he's been taking them for like over 10 years. And he started a couple years ago, started selling them as an independent business owner.
The
And oh
game
my,
kind of got interesting. The
they
Saints
just scored, didn't they?
now they're going for 2, and
They
they
got it.
tied it up.
Tie game. Wow.
Wow.
See that going for it on 4th down was crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it was like, wow. They made a huge catch in the end zone, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, no, you're good. That's crazy. Yeah. So anyway, so Bart K, he started taking them about over 10 years ago, and he started selling them as an independent business owner a couple years ago. So I started doing it like through him, and I saw good results with it. My energy seemed to spike up and so forth. So then I decided to start selling it too as an independent business owner. So I'm selling it now, and still taking it, of course. So yeah, for me, I really like it. Like the Stem Enhance Ultra is the big one for me. Let's show this again, because this is the first one I started taking, and then I started taking the other 2 as well. But this one, like, I really noticed within the first few weeks of taking this, I'd say 2-3 weeks or so, a spike up in my energy levels. And I was already doing carnivore for like 9 months at that point. So it's not like it was just carnivore that did it. Like I already had gotten better energy from carnivore. And then this seemed to make a big difference, I think, for me too. So yeah, I've been starting to sell those now too here in the last couple months.
You feel they're making a big difference for you, or definitely making a difference for you? I'm assuming it sounds like.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, like for me, like carnivore does a lot of the same good stuff here. It probably doesn't do anything really with your stem cells, but at least like the circulation and the getting rid of the inflammation and stuff like that, right? And this is kind of just like it works hand in hand with it and kind of enhances it, if you will, enhances what the benefits that you're seeing from carnivore. So for me, that's what I like with it. But there's a lot of research out there about these products, a lot of studies, and to me, it's worth it. So that's where I'm at. And, I know it's not for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. But if there is anybody that's interested in these products or even interested in selling them or whatever, just contact me. You can contact me and we can talk further.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the
And
game's getting.
so you are thinking about selling them too, right?
Yeah, I
Or
just kind of started
promoting?
taking a look at it, and I was thinking about ordering something, especially mostly you probably can't see. I end up getting a lot of bags under my eyes, and I just cannot make those go away. And I was thinking of maybe giving something a try to see if I can help kind of take those away because I'll look a little bit younger. And that's as you get older, that's what you're all fighting for, right? To look youthful appearance. And I'm 51, but I'll be 52 in next March. But you still want to
Yeah.
look great,
Yeah. So there is something else that I didn't talk about that actually helps with that through cereal, and it's called the Instant Tensor Serum. It's
I
like a
saw that.
facelift in a bottle, and yeah, it like right on here it says it instantly lifts, tightens, and plumps the skin to reduce the appearance of sagging, fine lines, and wrinkles. There's a regenerating night cream as well, which helps to repair damaged and aging skin. So there's a few other different products I didn't talk about that are more like um, skincare related, whatever that we also sell. So
Yeah.
in Jacksonville, kind of where are they up about midfield? It's third down though, huh?
Yep, 3rd and 10. Boy, I tell you what, the Saints are going to come marching in. The way it looks. Next thing you know.
I love when they have like a game in New Orleans and they show the crowd because
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
always dressed up
that was good defense.
crazy. So it's fourth down. So, you know what's going to
Yeah.
happen? The Saints are going to come back and win this game. They were
Yeah.
losing 24-9. It's now tied at 24, 4.5 minutes left, and Jacksonville has to punt it back to New Orleans. Yeah, that's crazy.
You take away that pick six, and who's winning the game? Wasn't it Jacksonville had the pick six?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So, you probably shouldn't have fair caught that one.
I know. And if Becky's still watching, she's like, wait, he fair caught it already?
Becky, are you
Sorry,
still there?
Becky.
She's muting us. Getting back to what Brian was talking about, I just want to give your Linktree address up there because that will take you to the different places for the different products that you have. Oh, guy dropped it.
Becky's still there.
I was going to say I throw up my store address too for my shirts like we're wearing tonight. I think it's funny Brad was wearing his too. Oh, Becky's here and she's reading too. We need to get Becky back on the show again for sure.
Yeah. All right, so it's third down here for the Saints. Third and about 5, third and 4.
Someone's going to come open. Oh,
I don't know where he was throwing that.
I don't think
I almost feel like he should have tried just running it.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like he got hurt though.
Yeah. So it's fourth down. They're going to have to punt. Going back and forth here now.
Did he get hurt on the tackle, or when he was running?
I don't know. Let's see.
I think the guy ran a go. Oh, he was open deep, but he couldn't sling it that far. The other guy closed the gap too. It looked like.
I don't know where he got hurt though.
He must have pulled a groin.
Oh, like maybe when he threw it, the way he threw it, and was kind of running something. Yeah,
he couldn't plan either. If he could have planted that could have been a great play. But they almost have to burn it. Can they burn a timeout here and then have him go back in?
Well, it's 4th and 4. I think they're gonna have to punt.
Oh, that's true. 350. They might want to go for it though. But Taysom Hill can come in now.
Yeah, but they're at like their own 20-yard line or 25-yard line in a tie game. They're not going to go for it because if you don't get it, you're giving the other team basically the ball right there. So he's going to get a decent return. Oh, see, he just ran out of bounds instead of trying to get extra yardage.
Yeah,
he could have gotten him closer to field goal range.
Hey, Brian, I figured out what that static was. It's my speaker. It wasn't anything in the interview the other night because I was a little concerned about that.
Oh.
But because I kept hearing static when I did your interview the other night, but it wasn't in the recording. So it's just, I can hear it now. It's just kind of humming a little. They're nice Bose speakers, but they're older. So, but I've got a interview coming up next week that should be pretty fun with the Frugal Carnivore, and we're gonna record that Tuesday night. And that'll be coming out next week. But it's interesting because she also lives in a van, so be looking for that one Wednesday. I'm hoping that interview can come out. Diane, she seems like a really nice person. I'm anxious to get her on the show. Other than that, I've just got regular recordings going on. Actually, tomorrow night, I don't know if you have anything going on, but at 5:30 Central Standard Time, I'm on a show with Sana and Cindy. They're doing a Q&A with me tomorrow night at 5:30, so I will be on for that one. Looking forward to that. I know you said you're going to be on their show here coming up too, I believe, here.
In November, yeah.
Yeah,
early November.
Weeks. Yep, so I'll be on there tomorrow. Looking forward to that as well. Should be good. And I still got to make an episode for tomorrow. I didn't make any videos today, and I usually like to put one out on a Thursday or Friday. I'll come up with something tomorrow. It'll probably be more of a my life update episode. So, but I went for a nice walk tonight or this afternoon. It went really well. I'm not hurting like I was. I can't believe the difference, Brian. I'm going to be running before you know it. That'd be nice. I don't think I'll run, but I'm just saying I feel like I could take off and run a little, and I might try it just to see how my joints feel. Because in the past, it's like I was just too big to even try. So I might. You will see. I don't want to get hurt either, though. So
yeah. But. So tomorrow night, I have a live too with Chad, Minimalist Carnivore.
Yeah, I'd like to meet him.
That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I don't know if you'll still be going because yours will be, you said 6:30 Eastern.
Yeah, 6:30 to probably 7:30. I'm guessing. You're on what time? 8.
So we're going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I'll make
Minimalist Carnivore, myself, and boy, I can't even remember what we're talking about. I gotta get prepped up, obviously, for it. But
his channel grew really fast. He did a nice job. He seems like a really good guy and a lot of knowledge. I'd like to meet him sometime, definitely. Maybe we can get him on the show sometime.
Oh, here we go. Our topic is transforming cravings from cheating to mindful treating. Yes. So we're going to be talking about cravings and whether or not it's like a cheat or a treat, that type of thing. So that'll be at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on my channel and on Chad's channel. So you guys can check that out.
Nice. Hey, did you see I put a new sticker up?
Oh, yeah.
My weight loss life. I got one there, and then I put one. I think this one was up last week up there. You can hardly see it, but That's what I should do is put a new sticker up each week and see who can find it.
Like the old Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like it's 2nd and 8 here for Jacksonville. 3:27 to go, fourth quarter. And what do we have? We have officials talking, so that can never be good.
Yeah, I just want to say before they get to the end of the game, I just want to thank everyone for watching tonight and tuning in and spending some time with us. I thought our guests tonight were really great and very knowledgeable, and it's always nice to share some of that with everybody. So, oh wow, big play!
Wow.
Oh
Oh, he's
man,
gonna score.
still
Touchdown Jacksonville.
well, so
So
much for the comeback. It's still a
well,
lot of
there's still
time.
3 minutes. 3 minute 3:08 to
I'm feeling
go.
this
So
last part of the game might be kind of wild the way it's looking.
yeah. You know how it is in the NFL, like if it's a one score game with like 40 seconds left, the other team's gonna come down and score because
Yeah.
it's the NFL. That's like how it works.
Yep. Brian, did you end up getting your membership set up yet? I know you were talking about it. You're trying to figure out what to do, and
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet. I don't know. I want to make sure that if I do set up memberships, that there's good value for anybody
yeah,
that's gonna do it. So I have to really think about it and, see what is best. So I'm not too concerned about it yet at this point or anything.
yeah,
So
yeah. I've kind of got an idea in my mind, and I was going to do them all, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll just do that basic entry level one, and at least get that up because I can always add more levels as I go. I've been throwing around some ideas on some of the other levels and throwing in like t-shirts, maybe some coaching sessions at some of the other levels, just to kind of do that. But yeah, it's just kind of fun, and I hope to engage people a little bit more and do some live stuff that's for members only. I see those options are out there, so that'll be kind of cool too. Let's see here. And we saw that one. Let's see. I always used to see the Niners lose with an 8-point lead and a minute left. Not this year. Those Niners are the team to beat, I think, all the way around. Gail Becky's in Oregon.
so I think I found Becky's channel, or not Becky, I'm sorry, Gail's channel, and I just
Okay.
subscribed.
Oh,
So
okay. Cool.
so
Thanks,
Carr is
Brian.
back out there.
I will have to check out Gail's channel. I'm going to get a chance here. Oh, wow. They're moving the ball back down the field already.
Yeah.
Usually we talk a little more stuff, but the game's kind of a good one here. So we're paying a little more attention to the game. But, there's not
Right.
that many people on right now, anyways. But
I think
we
I think
appreciate
last
everybody being
week
here. Yeah.
I think last week there was like one point like we were probably talking for like 45 minutes straight about stuff, and then I was like, wait, there's a game on. What's even happening in the game? I have no idea.
That can happen.
Yeah. Well, they're getting close to the 2 minute warning here. Maybe one or two more
I
plays.
sometimes forget you're on the East Coast. It's already 11:15 where you are.
Yeah. It's weird too because, I talked earlier about how I grew up in Ohio and Michigan. And that's like the end of the Eastern Standard Time. And now where I'm at in Virginia, it's like the beginning of the Eastern Standard Time. So even though it's the same time zone, like when the sun goes down and that is almost an hour different than what it was almost an hour earlier than what it was in Ohio and Michigan. So it was weird getting adjusted here. Like in
Yeah.
the summertime, it would start getting dark after 8 o'clock, and I'm like, what is going on? Like it used to be like after 9 before it got dark, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still in the same time zone, but I'm at the opposite end of the time.
That Chiefs Chargers game ought to be a good one. Ooh, Eagles and Dolphins.
Yeah,
This
that could be
Sunday.
good.
That's
Tua
Sunday night
against
game.
Jalen Hurts. That's interesting.
Vikings versus the 49ers Monday night. Go Vikings. That's tough
It's
because
at
I like
Minnesota.
it's tough because I like Brock Purdy because he's Iowa State, as my banner says up there, plate says up there. But they're
Yeah.
fun to watch. I mean, I've been watching them. I watched them a lot last year, and
All right. So they're out of the timeout from the 2-minute warning. 1st and 10 at the Jacksonville 41-yard line for the Saints.
oh, Saints seem to be moving the ball pretty easy against them.
Yeah. I wonder if this is going to be one of those overtime games.
It's kind of looking that way, isn't it? Oh,
yeah. Oh
wait.
my gosh.
Oh,
I'm telling you though, my
Saints are just marching right down the field.
for my sleep, the sake of sleeping, overtime won't be good for me because I have to get up for work tomorrow morning. Second down already.
See, to me, David Carr and Kirk Cousins are similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nothing great, nothing bad, just
Right.
kind of average.
I will say though, I think Cousins is probably more accurate. I mean, he can drop dimes sometimes when he gets on a roll. He's pretty darn good, but other times not so much. Boy, they're moving down.
10-yard line. So the thing is that they score with like a minute left. They're giving Jacksonville too much time to go and get a field goal themselves. So let's see if they slow it down a little bit here. They're still going fast.
Just so you guys know, if you aren't watching, it's 31-24, a minute left in the fourth quarter, and Saints are driving to tie. They're on the what is it, the 5? Yeah, it looks like they're on the 6-yard line
Like
of
6-yard line. But they are slowing down a little bit now. 45 seconds and counting.
Yep. It's 1st and goal, so passing it to the end zone, missed.
36 seconds left, 2nd and goal.
Sharks and Stars playoff elimination game for overtime. Yeah.
So that's your overtime story.
Yeah.
This goes backward a few years, but there was when the Detroit Red Wings were in the Western Conference, they had a playoff series against the San Jose Sharks, and the game was at San Jose, so 3 hours, difference, right? So it already started at like 10 p.m. and they went to like triple overtime, and I had to work the next morning. Oh my gosh. It sounds like it's probably gonna be similar to what Gail's gonna talk about in hers.
Oh, he got away. Oh, incomplete.
3rd and goal.
3rd and goal, 30 seconds left, 31-24. And he's having a hard time getting up again. I thought the Saints were going to be better this year than they are.
Yeah, I did too.
They're kind of my surprise team, but they haven't been very surprising.
Yeah. Well, they got 2 more plays here to try and get this.
Tell you what, those Jets are coming around. You can't sleep on them yet. And here, they say Aaron Rodgers is going to be back early now, so
Yeah,
it's going to be
I don't know.
interesting. I like a good. There's nothing beats good hockey game either. That's playoff hockey. So fun to watch. I really enjoy it. Anymore, I've become a real big hockey fan, almost more than football, just because you don't have all this time between plays.
Yeah.
You just have your penalties and stuff, but generally the game's always moving, which I like.
Okay, here we go. 3rd and goal.
Oh, he's wide
open. He dropped
it.
He was wide open.
Hit him right in the hands and went off. Flew out of bounds.
Oh, man.
That's
tough. So now they're down to the final chance.
It was a beautiful wide open, and he dropped it. I don't even know what he was thinking. For a tight end, he should have better hands than that. Come on. He was so wide open, he hesitated a little, and then I think it cost him the time he needed to get to the football.
All right, here we go. 4th and goal. This is the game right here.
Yep, 25 seconds.
4th and goal to 6. 25 seconds left. That was not the best play to call on 4th and goal.
No, I didn't like
that. Was more like a 2nd or 3rd down play.
Incomplete.
So incomplete. Jacksonville takes over. 21 seconds left. Game's basically over.
It was 4th down.
The Saints do have 2 timeouts, I think, but basically just take a knee.
Sorry, Becky. Becky, I know what happened. It was bad though. I didn't like the throw or the play. I think.
Yeah.
They should have went back to that same tight end play and had him catch it. Maybe it was, and he just decided to throw it to the other guy. It could be.
It looked like it was the same route because the tight end was coming across again. See, he was coming across. He was a little more shallow than the last time. But yeah. Oh, no, they're going back.
Well, at least it ended up being a good game for once. It was close,
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, the Saints are going to use their timeouts. Jacksonville just took a knee, which I guess they could fumble the snap, but otherwise it's like, at this point, why?
Yep.
Going back to Gail's story there with the hockey game, that's always the way it happens, right? Like your guy has a wide open shot, he misses, and then the other team goes down and scores to win the game.
Oh, yeah. Yep, definitely. That's going to hurt, the Saints. They're 3-3. Now they'll be, 3-4? Unless they already put it up there. I don't think so, though. Jacksonville will be 5-2.
Yeah, this should be the 7th game, so, yeah.
Yeah, that drop by the tight end in the end zone is gonna haunt them.
Oh yeah.
And that's the game that nailed it down.
That does it. 31-24. Jacksonville wins.
Once again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to us for a while. And like I said, we had some great guests on tonight. And of course, the football game was a good one too. So it was all fun, good. And I thank you, Brian, again for putting up with me.
Yeah, it's all right. At least nobody has topped me yet with the bloopers. So.
Oh, hey, yeah.
I still hold the record there. So.
Yeah, that was a good one though. Gail was working at the Shark Tank that night. Richie scored
Richie.
a hat trick, and the promo night item was a hat. Yep, I'm sure those ended up all back on the ice.
Yeah.
Wonder what they do with those hats when that happens. You know what I mean? Because they get garbage cans full of them at these games where there's hat tricks.
Yeah.
I know.
I assume they just throw them out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So it's a good question for someone that works in an arena, I guess. Always fun hanging out with you guys. Too bad can't see your pretty nails. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Becky, and we're going to have you on again soon. So,
there you go. Gail says that they give the hats to charities.
Oh, nice. Some of them the charities might not want, but probably sweat rings on them and dirty and grubby. But and others are probably brand new. So that's awesome that they give them to charities, though. So yeah, I could see them going over. I know. I heard like when teams win the Super Bowl, they have shirts made for both teams. Well, the team that loses, I hear they end up taking those shirts and they end up going like overseas somewhere to, people that need them. So that way you never see them, here. But yeah, they do that with like bowl games and all the different shirts because they got to have the shirts for the players after the games. And then usually kids charities, and then Brad, don't forget about the sardines. I don't know. I just soon forget about them myself, but I can eat pickled herring. I've eaten pickled herring, but sardines just does not sound good for me. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'd like them. Who knows? I just never thought I could stomach them. So never know. I might try them next week live. That might be kind of fun. I'm down in the basement and it probably wouldn't stink up the place too bad. So you never know. But, well, guys, I think we're going to put a wrap on it. We appreciate you watching, and we'll be back here again Thursday next week at 7 p.m. Central Time. Brian's on a live tomorrow night. What time does that start?
8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. And I'm on at 5:30 tomorrow night Central Standard Time. So you might want to tune us in there, but I hope you all have a great night, and thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. We'll see about those sardines.